time we leave, we say stay up. Focus on the love, not the hater. Streets is not your friend, show you no love. Some will never know till they grow up. Grandma's on her knees, staying prayed up. Kids is outside getting sprayed up. I'm coming home late, don't stay up.
You are now watching the Corey Porter Podcast, Prison Talk. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe.
What's up, everybody? I want to welcome everybody to another episode of the Corey Porter Podcast, Prison Talk. You know what I'm saying? Where we talk to various people from around the world about their experiences in prison and how they overcame, how they came home and did something better with themselves. Today we got a special guest because all my guests are special. We got Aloysius McClinton, but we know him as Las. You know what I'm saying? Yo, what's good, man? How you doing?
Yo, Corey, what's good, man? Everything healthy. I want to tell you first and foremost, it's an honor to be on the show, my brother. You're doing a lot of great things for the community, a lot of great things for the people, man. Your energy is resounding with everyone, man, resonating with everyone. It's like, to be a part of this, I appreciate it, man. It's a good look for you, man.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Glad to have you on, man. But listen, man, we're going to get into it, man. You know what I'm saying? Because this is Prison Talk, so we're gonna talk about prison, man, and what's good. So tell me your altogether how much time did you do in prison?
Altogether, I got sentenced to 9. I did 7 and 10 months, and then I came home like on a year work release 2 type shit.
All right, so that was your first offense, or you had priors before?
That was my first offense ever.
First offense ever.
35 years old, boy.
Tell me what happened though. Tell me.
All right, so long story short story long, or even longer story to the shorter one. I copped out to criminal possession of a weapon in a second. So, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like I said, I was 35 years old when I first went to prison. I've been in the streets since I was 13, but I also been in the streets they say success is measured by how long you make it, not how many times you get knocked, right? So I value myself on never being knocked. And they say you stay smart by staying ahead of the game. So long story short, I've always been in the game, but I've always been in a book or been in a school or been in a field where it was like you would never know unless you knew me directly that I was in the game, right? Yeah. So long story short, I was out here in Albany, you know what I'm saying, dealing with these dudes. And one of the dudes wound up being an informant. So he had lined me up on a call. So I'm going to make the call, and, he had put in an order. You know what I mean? I'm going to make the call, and before I get to the call, the police raid the vehicle on me. I had a gun on me. I had some work on me, and a female was in the car. Yeah. So, of course, we always 10 toes down. So automatically, everything in the car is ours. And plus, the gun's on me. So, of course, that's mine. So, they jammed me up, and then they raided a spot that we had too, and there was some more drugs and guns and all that other shit in there. So when they initially charged me, they charged me with known and unknown charges. So the known shit was the shit I had on me. The unknown was the shit they had the apartment. The apartment had my homegirl name on it too. So it was like, what we gonna do? We stand up for our people, man. Nobody go to jail. We wasn't built like that. We built 10 toes. We sturdy. Yeah. So we come from an era where if you ain't sturdy, you ain't nothing. So long story short, I took all of it. So they first tried to offer me 14. And I'm I'm thinking to myself, like, this is my first felony ever. Like, I done worked in the juvenile field, justice field for years. I worked in juvenile jail, worked in boys' home. Like, I never had no trouble. So 14, that's too much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, nah, I'm not taking that. I tell my lawyer, I'm like, yo, listen, you tell them anything under 10, and try to get a non-violent. Because, non-violent, I don't know, for those who don't know in the penal system, for non-violent, you do 8 months and 10 days out of a year. And for violent, you do 10 months and 10 days out of a year. That's how that shit go. So you don't do full years unless you get your good time taken away. You build up your good time, but just stay out of trouble doing what you got to do. So, like I said, if I would have copped out to 9 with a violent, I could have been home in like 6 years. You know what I'm saying? Damn, almost 6 years.
Yeah.
But like I said, so my lawyer, like, nah, they're not taking that non-violent shit. They want you for the gun. Because like I said, when they raided my spot, I had a lot of other guns in there. So
Yeah.
they was trying to get me for the gun, whatever, by Allah's mercy, the feds didn't get involved, which is a blessing in itself. So they came back with the 9. They was like, they want to give you the 9.5, and they're not willing to go no lower. And if you don't want to do that, take it to trial. And then, like, if you take it to trial, though, they're going to charge you on everything separately. And a gun by itself carry a maximum of 15 years if you blow trial.
Yeah.
And like I told you, I had a gun on me, and I had some drugs, and then I had 4 other hammers. So I'm like, damn, I can't win on that.
Yeah,
so, I just took that 9 and just got on my way. You heard?
Now, what was that like though? Because you cop out. This is your first offense. You 35, right? You know what I'm saying? Usually, dudes they and women they a lot of their offenses happen when they younger.
Yeah.
But you going up at 35 now. Now what is that like? Like when you accept that cop out plea for 9 years. What was going through your mind? Because you probably you was in Albany, so you was in the county of Albany.
Yeah, I'm in Albany, so I was in Albany County. So you got to remember, like by this time, I had my daughter was what? This was 2015, so my daughter was like 17. My son was 7.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, they ain't never been away from them their whole life, so they don't know me going nowhere. So what was on my mind was, what's the fastest way to get this time and get home the fastest? Right?
Yeah.
Because I need to be back for my family. Like my son, like I said, my son was only 7 going on 8, so he definitely wasn't used to me being away from him. You know what I mean? So, granted, my daughter, she was a teenager, so she had me for a long time in her life, so it was cool, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, damn, what's the fastest time I could take this time and get home? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be honest with you, this is gonna sound crazy. Like, I wasn't upset, bro, because like I said, Allah had blessed me to have a long run, bro. Like, I've been in the streets since I was 13, like getting money since I was 13. So I'm like, every dog has his day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had straddled the fence for so long. Like I was telling you, like when I got arrested, I was working at a residential boys' home. Like, and I had been working there for 5 years prior to working at a juvenile jail. You understand what I'm saying? So it was like, I was always working in some great environments, some good environments where I was kind of like already like a mentor and role model for the young men anyway. So it was just like, damn, I looked at it like it was the law's opportunity to show me, like, you got to start straddling the fence and choose a side. Either you going to do what you're doing and, trusted him and be beneficial in what I'm doing, or I'm going to stay in these streets and keep throwing rocks at the penitentiary like they said, and eventually you're going to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was just in there like, this is my time. Like, let's get it. Let's get started. Let's go. Like, from the time I got arrested to the time I got upstate, it took 4 months. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got arrested July 31st. I think I copped out. I officially copped out November 13th, and I was on the bus downstate November, like the end of November type shit.
Yeah. So when they sent you to downstate, because I know downstate from our previous interviews, that's like
reception. That was reception. That shit closed down. Crazy.
I know. I think my pops used to work over there.
Yeah, that shit was the biggest reception center in New York State for a while for prisons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So when you went to downstate, how long was you in downstate?
2 weeks. It's crazy because that's crazy you asked that, because I get to downstate, so I figure out, listen, man, I like to believe, and because we family, so we share certain similarities. I like to believe that we all intellectual prowess, like we very smart. So we get a lay of the land real fast, so we try to figure out what's going on. So I got heat and figured out that they had a cadre there. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm gonna try to get a cadre so I can stay close, so my family's right here, they can come see me type shit.
Now wait, what is that? Did you just say?
Cadre is like for inmates that work at downstate. That's the only way you could be at downstate. If you either gonna be in transit or you're a cadre. If you're a cadre worker, you either do the barbershop, you do the bathrooms, you do the lunch, you do the lunch and shit or food, do the dining hall, shit like that. You do the mess hall. So you're either doing mess hall, you're either doing laundry, you cut your hair, you're doing grounds and work, whatever maintenance that needs to be done in cadre. In the prison, you could be one of those people that's called cadre. So places like transit and the boxes, they only have cadre inmates, and that's inmates that do the shit that need to be done in the jail. Other than that, there's no regular population there.
Yeah. So what was you trying to do? What was you trying to go in there and do?
So I was going to try to do there and do whatever just to stay there because it was close. I'm like, I want to be. So I went in there and did some barber shit. I really wasn't too fond of working in the mess hall, but listen, if they'd have gave it to me, I'd have did whatever. You feel me?
Yeah.
But because of my background, I'm like, yo, listen, I'm gonna try to go in there and be, a phase 1 teacher or anything like that, like be one of the teachers, because you could be IPAs, you be teachers assistants and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do the paperwork and find out about the program. So I wind up getting accepted for the program. But my dumb ass, you always think you're smarter than anything. So it was during Ramadan when I was there. So, you got to make wudu before you pray. And in downstate, the sinks are on the outside of the bathroom. So in the back of the dorm, because I made it to the dorms. Because I remember I was watching the interview with your brother. He was saying how they got cells. Most of them are cells, but they got a couple of dorms there too. So if you make it to the dorms, the sinks are on the back wall.
Yeah.
The sinks are on the back wall, but the bathroom's inside the bathroom. So the bathroom and the shower is inside, but the sinks are on the back wall. So I'm out there making wudu before I pray. And, Ramadan Fajr was coming in maybe 3, 4 in the morning. So the officer sleep. So he started trying to give me a hard time about, yo, everybody sleep. You can't be making noise. I'm like, yo, bro, this is a religious observation. You can't really mess with this. So like I said, me trying to be smarter than your average, I write him up. You know what I'm saying? I write him up. I said a slug on him like, yo, he harassing me. So, yo, no lie, Corey. 2 days later, they're like, yo, I'm on the drive. They're like, yo, McClinton, you on the drive? I'm like, oh, what? I'm like, yo, they told me I got accepted the cadre. They're like, nah, you on the drive, bro. So now when you go on the draft, you go in a room with a bunch of guys and they just got your bags. They don't tell you where you're going unless you get a cool porter that works for cadre, but usually just be the officers. So they just read your name and it'd be a bunch of your names and just be your bags and shit. So they put us on a bus. So like I said, I don't know where I'm going. But like I said, it's crazy for watching the interview with your brother. You on that bus, bro, and it's just a long bus ride. So they like, yo, if you towards the back of the bus, you going far.
Yeah,
if you
and
towards
you
the
was
back
at.
of the bus, you going far. Like they sent you strategically according to how you going, where you going, how you getting off, where you getting off at.
Yeah.
So I'm on the back of the bus. So I'm asking the OG I'm on the bus, back of the bus with. I'm like, yo, bro, where you think we going? He like, not for none. I just came back from court. I was in transit. I'm coming from Clinton. He's like, so 9 times out of 10, you going to Clinton.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
nah, I ain't going to Clinton.
Now, did you know
yo,
about Clinton before you went?
Yeah, because you got to remember, I had a couple family members, I had it's like my first cousin, you might say like my brother, he did 27. You feel me? And I got another couple comrades that did years, and so, pardon me, that's so I had a couple people that had been around, from the Have to Clinton to Attica, but I never personally been there, right? So, I tell people this, you can hear a lot of stories about a lot of shit, but till you see it with your own eyes, you ain't really hearing shit, right?
Yeah.
So that's why when I was watching PR's joint, I'm laughing because everything he's saying, I'm like, I vividly remember this shit. So he like, yo, we going to Clinton. I'm like, nah, I ain't going to Clinton. He like, yo, I'm telling you. So the first stop they made is they make it the halfway point is Washington. They take you into Washington. But actually, they park outside the gate at first, and they wait for the other bus to come because they swap inmates. So whoever's going back downstate or whoever's going west or whatever, they get on another bus, and whoever's going up north with you, they get on the bus with you. So they swap there. They give you lunch or sandwiches and shit. Yeah. So you stop there. We waiting for a little while. So now I get to watch this crazy because while we sitting, I'm seeing inmates driving buses and shit. I'm like, fuck these inmates doing driving these buses like. It's crazy. That my mind, I'm like, I gotta get here. Like this, where I need to be. I need to be driving some buses, chilling, trying to holler at some joints. You feel me?
Yeah.
So like I said, it's my first experience. I'm looking around like, oh, you could get loopy if you driving buses and driving CO and people around. Like you could get in the mix. Yeah. So I'm like, I need to get here. So the OG he keep laughing because he's like, man, you might as well go to sleep because we going to Clinton. So I'm like. All right, boy, whatever. So, long story short, he right. You getting to Clinton, but what we did was before we got to the main, we pulled into the annex. Yeah. So we pulled into the annex and we let the dudes off because the main and the annex is literally right next to each other. So we pull into the annex and we let the dudes off into the annex. So I didn't know the difference at the time. I just knew that we didn't pull behind no big ass wall, and you could still kind of see the wall when you pulling up to the annex. You could see the wall for the main, but you don't pull into it. You pull in the parking lot and there's no wall around the annex. It's just a fence. Yeah. So a couple fences. So I'm like, oh, I'm good. And we here. He like, you not going here? He's like, Yo, I swear, I think this old dude was just like really trying to like rile me up because I'm like, you said we going to Clinton. He said, boy, yeah, we going to Clinton, but you ain't going to this Clinton. He's like, yo, this is the annex. He's like, you not going here. I'm like, why wouldn't I be going here? He said, they call your name. And mind you, it was me, him, and one other dude left on the bus because they started calling names before we actually got there. So then they started calling names again. He's like, yo, you heard your name get called? I'm like, nah. He's like, so you ain't going here. So the bus busting you, pull out the parking lot, and then go to the next parking lot, literally like 50 feet away, and then turns into the wall. And all you see is this big ass wall open up.
Crazy.
I'm like, wait a minute. I was just in Cadre living great, chilling. Now I'm going to here.
Yeah.
So he like, yeah, this is where we going. So I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, all right. So now, from the moment the gate open, now I'm in game mode. You know what I mean? I'm just like, listen, whatever's in here waiting, it's gonna be here. And one thing I told myself when I went in there, you know what I'm saying, is like, I always made a pact to myself is however I go in, I'm coming out the same way, or whatever happens in the midst of that, we all going somewhere. So if it's a hospital, it gotta be. If it's a box, it gotta be. Wherever it gotta be. If I gotta come out different, whoever's involved is coming out different too. Yeah. So in my mind, I'm already made this decision up. I already made this decision. Like, listen, I'm a grown ass man, so I know that there's things that can be avoided. Sometimes you let your pride get the best of you, but anything that can't be avoided has to be dealt with directly, immediately. There ain't no let's think about this, let's talk about this. Like if it's up, it's up. That's just from life, though. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just how I've been all my life. So I'm like, all right. So we go in the gate. He like, listen. He like, whatever you do, man. He's like, I don't know you that good. We just been on this ride. He's like, whatever you do, if you have a family, just keep them in mind. He was like, because these crackers is going to test the shit out of you, and they going to push your buttons to no avail. He was like, I can tell you intelligent. He said, that's going to intimidate them. He said, so just whatever you do in times of frustration, think about your family. I'm like, yo, I appreciate that, OG, you heard. And so from there, we got out, and we going, we go in, and now it's about where you going. If you're going to the flats, I think I went to lower F. So, you get there late, they give you a bag, they have somebody walk you down to your cell, whatever, and you just lock it in your cell. And you in there for like 3 days because they call it quarantine or whatever. Yeah. Yo, bro, when I tell you this shit had to be like one of the darkest, like you feel like life sucked out of this place. That's how it felt, bro. It was like, there's a bunch of people around you, you hear a bunch of noise, but it's like hopelessness and lifelessness is not there. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just a bunch of brothers like that really has to come to the fact that, in my opinion, and my feelings, like they should come to the fact that they know this is where their shit is gonna end at. You know what I'm saying? Like this is where they either done been here long enough or they know this is where their shit is gonna end at. Yeah. So that first night I'm in there, I'm like, all right, I'm in there, I'm up though now, you know what I'm saying? You try to hear for who might know you, who you might know, people that see you come in and call you, whatever, see you. So I don't hear nothing that, first night nobody reaching out, whatever, but it was a Muslim brother, you know what I'm saying? And there'll be like different tiers, like PR was telling you. So like there's the flats is the bottom, then there's up. So Muslim brothers, you have a brother that call out the Adhan, that's the call for prayer. So it was another brother that was like one floor. He looked down, he seen when they called out the Adhan, I was getting ready to pray, whatever. So then he reached out to me. He was like, yo, make sure you come out in the yard in the morning. The brothers will be outside. Da 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 da. So the following morning, they come around. They say it so fast, you got to be up. They ask you if you want to go to rec, chow, shower, and something else they ask. But like I said, they come so fast, they come by. If you don't catch them, you ain't going out. Especially if you don't say nothing, they ain't popping your cell type shit. Yeah. So, I was up, what I'm saying? I said rec, and I think I said chow. And I know I said a shower. But so they popped the gate, went to chow first, going to mess hall, and it's... You might as well say it was like a million brothers. It wasn't a million, but it's just so many people crowded into this space, and they just got long tables. You know what I mean? And you just, as you come around, and then you go to the line to get your the food or the chow they call it, which should be called chow because it's definitely not food. You know what I mean? And you just get it, and you go around. Once you get to the end, you grab your cup and a spoon, a spork, and you know what I mean? You come and you fill in the tables wherever the spots was empty. And like they said, before you sit down, you gotta sit down with courtesy. Like, you know what I mean? You put out the chair for the next man. Which, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I only kind of knew that because in downstate, when I was down in downstate for that time, the brothers that was there, they kind of gave me insight to the etiquette of going up north, because they didn't know, nobody knew where I was going, but they was like giving me etiquette. And then, like I said, having people that was been in the state for years, you know, they was kind of trying to give me insight already. Yeah. So, you know, you get there, you got your brothers, go to the yard, and wallahi, man, I swear by Allah, man, your brother couldn't have described it no better, bro. When you go out to that yard for the first time, for me, I felt like I was dead in the scene from Gladiator. That's exactly how it looked. Like when you first step in the Coliseum, that's how it looked, bro. It's like all you see is you got the flats, you know, you got the sand, you got the basketball courts, and then you just got a bunch of courts going up, bro. And they got these, I don't know if you remember the barrels that they used to put oil and stuff in. Mm-hmm. They cut them in half and they let them use it for grills. And you can also get your own wood. So people out there cooking all types of stuff, bro. You got Chinese dudes cooking Chinese food. You got the Rastas cooking Jamaican food. You got the Italians making the Italian food. Like, you got every denomination of people cooking their own food. So it's already like, and then you just got, you know, everybody is super segregated. So I'm at the door, you come out and they got the phones. So I'm looking for the phones because I want to be able to call my people. But I'm just, for a minute, I'm stuck just looking at this like, oh, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is really like, this is different. So, you know, more or less, like, I'm just taking it all in. And then, like I said, one of the Muslim brothers that was in chat with me, he was like, you know, there's a couple of courts where the Muslims be. He was like, yo, so if you're going to try to get on the phone, you got to get a CO your ID. Because, you know, when I got up there, this was just right after the escape. You remember the escape happened in the summer of 2015. So now they on super high lockdown type shit. Like, they only give you 7 minutes on the phone. You got to give your phone to the officer. They call your joint. Like, they on super, super, super go time up there. Like, you know, they coming through taking hoodies. I guess it was, you know, they used to be able to wear hoodies. This is the time they come through, they taking your hoodies because the inmates escape using the hoodie. Like, everything, they super security, super tight up there. So, you know, I get in the line for the phone, you know what I'm saying? Finally get to my turn, whatever, call my people. I swear, I feel like I was on there like 2 minutes. They're like, yo, you up, next group. So then I started figuring out how to, like, what was going to be as far as that phone situation. So I'm like, all right, I know what I got to do. You got to be able to, you know, grab your ID real quick and jump back in another line or jump. You know what I mean? If you're trying to get some time, whatever. So once I figured that out, just let my peoples know I was good, I started going to the different courts where the Muslim brothers was at, just, you know, salam and checking in. And then I started seeing people from the town, you know, but like, you know, if you know my history with the town, like, I've been in and out of the town so much, like, I know a lot of dudes that I grew up with, but then like the younger generation of some of them, like, I don't know too many of them. I ain't too familiar. Like, you know, even with you, like, you know, the opportunity, like, once I knew you was PR brother, it's like certain stuff started coming back to me. I'm like, but, you know, me and PR, you know, like I was telling you before we started, like, we was in third grade together. So it's like, you know, when you know certain people, then you know, you put faces and names to other people. It's like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? Because I, you know, not for nothing, like, I left the town when I was like 13. And I was gone for like 2 years. I was in Atlanta and I came back. And then I was gone for like another 4 years. I was out in Middletown and shit. So I came back in like 99, 2000. And I wasn't there for too long. And then I moved out to Schenectady in 01. And I've been out here in this area since then. So, you know, I go back and forth to the town here and then, but it's like, it was a large chunks of pieces where, you know, you don't see people for so long. You know, you don't remember so-and-so's little brother or so-and-so's cousin or, yo, that's, you know what I mean? You remember people shit that you was really around type shit type. So, you know, so like I said, I get there, you know, I start mixing with a couple Muslim brothers. And, you know, from there, I think a lot because, like I said, my age, my maturity, I was just able to lock in with a lot of older brothers. And they was like, you know, they was telling me to run down, like, yo, listen, you know, you need to get this for your cell. You know, you need to get hot plates. You know, you need to get a TV. You know, X, Y, and Z. This is how you move as far as, you know, these COs and SCOs. You know, these people over here, they're telling me who the Amir is. The Amir is the leader of the community inside the jail. You know, the Imam is the outside person that comes in. You know, so they're just giving me the rundown of what's going on. You know, telling me
this is all Muslim stuff.
Yeah, this is all Muslim stuff. So they letting me know like the rundown of when time classes is, you know, when the Juma, how to, you know, make sure I get to all these things and, you know, how to sign up. But they also put me with a brother that like, you know, the brother name was Naji and they put me with him and like he was like a kind of like a mentor. Like, they give you a mentor when you first come in to help you out the transition. The crazy thing about the brother Najee, he has spent like 7 years in Elmira with my cousin Chief. I don't know if you probably know Chief. You know what I mean?
I know Chief.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
So
Chief. Yeah.
he has spent 7 years in there. So once we realized we had him in common, it's like he took to me even more. You know what I'm saying? And like one day we was on the phone. I put him on the phone with Chief and shit. It was like, he was a student of Chief's in Islam. So with him being my mentor, like we just, we got real tight. So we would spend days where, he would just, like I said, he would show me the ins and outs how to navigate in there, and so I think it was what I want to say. I was like in a weekend, and there was a group of Spanish dudes. They were so I was going to the bathhouse to take a shower.
Yeah.
And because I don't know if you know, but the outside is the bathhouse. You know what I'm saying? You take your showers out there, whatever. You know what
So you got to go outside.
Yeah, if you ain't showering on a gallery, which 9 times out of 10, majority of people ain't showering on a gallery. Like mostly only the porters at this time, when they, like I said, when I got there, how they was still under so high security, they was really only letting the porters shower on a gallery type shit.
Yeah.
So, majority of us had to go out to the bathhouse, so you just washed up in your sink. I had been there for a week, watched up in my sink. I'm like, yo, I gotta take a shower, man. Like, this ain't it. But the bathhouse is it's an experience, right?
Now, what to describe that though? What does a bathhouse? What it look like?
All right, so it's a building that's out in the yard that just got a bunch of showers in it. So, you go in and, there's a bunch of showers. Like, they got just the shower nozzles that come off the wall. You know what I'm saying? And, if anybody know about prison, when you in there, ain't no walls or dividers that divide you from nobody else. Like, there ain't no single man showers. Like, when you shower with your boxers on or your shorts because, it's a bunch of dudes showering. Like, you don't have the privacy to be naked. Right? There ain't no, yo, you go in the shower stall and get naked, da-da-da-da-da. Ain't none of that, bro.
Yeah.
So when you walk in, like I said, there's a bunch of shower spigots on the walls, and they on. And you can press a button to turn them on. You know what I'm saying? And it's just be a bunch of dudes in there. So, the brothers, like, when we went, you would always go in 2s or 3s, and it would be, either 1 or 2 brothers waiting outside, armed, of course. You know what I'm saying? And it'll be a brother inside. If you shower,
wait, hold up. Now you talking about the Muslim brothers?
That's how we went. Yeah, I mean,
now what you mean by armed though? What was it described that? What they got?
We got swords, baby. We got the whatever you could think of the most creative form of protection that you could have in prison. Yeah. Best believe the brothers definitely have access to whatever you could think of. Okay. Right. So if you could just imagine anything, and we got to remember, the world will see this, the masses will see this, so we have to be mindful of how we protect, our distinct of ours, right? Yeah. So anything that your imagination could allow you to roam with, to think of. So like I said, I know when PR was on there, he was talking about, the incident with the brother with his eye getting poked out. That's some common stuff, right? So I say we had this one thing, we called it a sword, because it literally looked like a sword. It was probably about this long, and it was like a sword. It was like, a piece of fabricated metal that basically was like a sword, bro. Like no funny. So it was like whoever was in the shower, one person would stand outside and they would, stand at the door. So the objective was to make sure, because there's a lot of booty bandits up there. There's a lot of, mooks up there. There's a lot of, gay people in there that I call them booty bandits. I'm not saying it's nothing against the LGBT community, but you got dudes up there that are taking people, like that are literally sexually violating and taking other guys, bro. That's not a game. Like, for anybody that think that that's not going on and that's not real life, you're fooling yourself. Like, that's literally happening up there. You know what I mean? You got dudes up there that just get off by doing that. Like, that's what they look forward to doing. So,
they just going around finding somebody vulnerable, then raping them.
Bro, that's what they doing, bro. Like, unfortunately, my mom's friend, a friend of my mom's, her son went, I forgot what facility he went to. He went there like 18 years old and he got raped. And he had to get 30 stitches internally and 25 stitches externally. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's prisons where dudes are still very adamantly sexually assaulting other dudes, bro. I don't know if that's happening in the female prison. I just go to attest to where I've been, right? So in Clinton, there was a community of I don't know if you want to call them. I don't know if you could call them transgender because I don't know if prison how much of the process they could actually go through. I mean, I know they get them hormone pills, but you have community of guys sitting out in the grass of dudes that are we used to just call them, the get along gang. Like you got dudes that are real big, brolic, either transsexuals or I don't know what you want to know. Like I said, I don't want to be politically incorrect.
You can call them just call them transgenders.
You know what I'm saying? So I'll just say that, but they really living out there, living their best life in their communities. But some of those guys that are in those communities were subjected to being sexually assaulted first, and then because probably of no protection, just went along with it. And at some point just accepted what was going on. You feel me? Because there was a dude up there that was known for that's what he did. He had his own slogan and all that. It's either gonna be blood on my knife or shit on my, you know what I mean? Like that was his thing. You feel me? So it's like, so when you go in the bathhouse, you go to the shower, you got a brother that's standing outside, and you might say if you got two brothers going in or one brother going in the shower, and then vice versa. So if me and you go into the bathhouse, I'm like, all right, Corey, you go in first, I'll man the door, and then when you come out, you'll man the door and I'll go in. You know what I'm saying? And that's just to make sure we protecting ourselves from anything that unwanted. You know what I'm saying? Anything that like it might be unwanted. And people know the vibes. We're not the only ones that's doing it. We're not, the Muslims not the only group that's doing it. But people know the vibes. Like, because one thing I learned about the Max, especially in Clinton, is that's where you really learn the etiquette of prison, right? Because I told people in my mind, the prison is the matrix. It's a world inside of a world. Like, you would never believe how desensitizing that experience is to the real world. Like, it's designed for recidivism. You know what I mean? It's designed for us to come back because the way it runs the world inside of a world. Nothing's normal to prison that's normal in the world. As much as we try to make it be, there's no normalcy in it. So when you go in there, like I said, I'm like, all right, Corey, you go first. You'll go in there, you'll shower, do what you got to do. You got to draft a lot of that bag. Excuse me. Bring all your stuff with you. Whatever you're going to need in there, you go do what you got to do. You come out. Now you on guard. I go do what I got to do. Then we leave. You know what I'm saying? Go put up whatever we need to put up. And we, you got to stay outside the whole time so you can't go back. So, you dressed and everything out there. You know what I'm saying? So your rec might be for 3 hours, 2 hours, whatever, however long the rec is. They got early go back. Sometimes you can go back halfway, but for the most part, you're out there. And plus, you get an opportunity, like I said, you buy some food while you out there. Just get the recreate, work out, do what you want to do, because you could bring your books out there. You could bring anything you really want from your cell, you could bring out there. So, you might be out there listening to music. You might be out there working out. You might be out there reading some of the longer scriptures, or dudes might be looking at other books, whether they be girls, whatever the case it may be. Like, you out there, and everybody's just chilling or they doing their own thing, right? Yeah. So, after that, like I said, that's my first week. I finally went to the bathhouse. And then after that, like, I just got on the schedule with it. Like, I would wash up my sink sometimes, and I would go out to the bathhouse because it's cold up there, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, it's freezing up there. Like,
right by Canada, right?
To the bathhouse in the winter, bro. I don't care what nobody say. You got to be tough to do that. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, that's one of the coldest places I ever been. When I got off the bus, I remember we went through the reception. They had a sign that showed, like, how to show the seasons. It had a sign that was like winter, summer, and it literally was like that. Like, it used to be times we'd be out in the weight pit. The snow be as tall as me. I mean, I'm only 5'8", but the snow will be piled up that high just to get to the equipment, right? And it'd be like that for months. So, like I said, I believe because of, the maturity of me already being at the age I was when I went there, I can't pretend to sit here and like act like initially I had a rough time, because I didn't. Once I got into know-how, I got me a TV, I got me a hot plate for myself. So we cooking, the brothers, the community is real tight. So whatever you need, you could get. You know what I'm saying? And if you got a good support system, if you got some bread, you get whatever you want. Back then, you was buying everything with cigarettes for the most part, or whatever else you had, monetary value things you had. So if if your commissary, if your book was heavy, you could get whatever you want. You know what I mean? You might send a disbursement out for somebody for a TV, and I caught a TV from a dude that was leaving. So, I caught it for like $100, gave him 10 bricks on his way out, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so my cell, once I moved off the flats, because I was like kind of reception, I think I moved to Upper H. And once I moved there, like, I was all set up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they come. So if you don't got to go to school, then you got to get a program. So when you after you back probably like 2 weeks, they call you down. You see a counselor, and you either got to go to school if you don't got a degree or a GED, or they put you in a program. Now, a program could be any elective that they got going on there. You know, whether it be floor covering, whether it be painting, whether it be masonry, whatever they got going on there, right? Because you got to take one. I mean, if you need both, they'll give you both, but they only letting you take one elective type joint. Like once they give you one trade, they not letting you take another one.
Yeah.
So then
And that's for the whole time you in there.
that's for the whole time you in there, which bugged me out because I couldn't understand. Like I told you, I was in there for 7 years. I've been to the max, I've been to mediums. Once you get that trade, no matter if you go to another jail or not, they not putting you with another one. I mean, you could try your hardest to get in one, but once you got it, they really you're not a priority anymore. Like you really gotta try to jump through hoops to get another one.
Yeah. Now, do you feel were you Muslim before you went in, or you became Muslim when you was in there?
Before.
So before you went in there. So when you went in there, do you feel the fact that you was able to link up with the Muslims early, you know what I'm saying, the brothers, would it been harder for you if you would have just went in there in no group, no gang, no nothing, no group? You just single, like just basically kind of like a sitting duck almost. Like you ain't associated with nobody.
Absolutely. I think that anyone that goes in, well, I say absolutely, but then at the same time, it's absolutely going to be harder because, see, when you have a support system, it's just like if you're on a team, right?
Yeah.
If you come on a team and your older brother was there, your older cousin played, and say you start in JV, but now he done went to varsity, they know you, they expect you to come, so they're going to show you a little bit more love. They're going to the coach might be a little bit open to give you more playing time, right? So when you come in there, and if you have no connection to nobody, it's harder because people naturally in there, everything's segregated. So everybody's together. Even the people that ain't a part of nothing, they find themselves together because they're not a part of nothing, right? So it's definitely harder because you're more of on an island. And like you said, you're a sitting duck. So the wolves, because you got a lot of wolves. See, the wolves are people that are starving, that they come up, and the way they survive in jail is preying off of those people they can guarantee that don't got no alliances or don't have no, so they looking for you to come in. They sitting there every day just waiting for where their next come up is. That's how they do their whole bids. It's people that do their whole bids by preying on the people that come in there with no type of attachment or alliances or nothing.
Yeah.
So absolutely, if you come in there, in my experience, that's definitely harder.
Now, when you was in there, how long did you spend in Clinton?
I was in the main for a year, and I was in the annex for 16 months.
Now they tell me those who've been to the annex in Clinton, they say that's really where they got into a lot of their fights at. Did you get into any fights? You went in there older, so I don't know. I know a lot of dudes that went in there when they was young. They the ones who had a lot of the fights. You going in there as a 35-year-old man, did you have to get it on a little bit, or was you kind of good with the brothers you was with? Nobody really messed with y'all like that.
Yo, bro. So if I be honest with you, backtrack real quick. When I was in Albany County Jail, right, I was with a dude who had just came home from doing 10, and he was, unfortunately, he had been home like a year and a half, and he was up for another 8. And I used to ask him questions. Like I said, this was my first time. I'm not gonna sit here and act like, I wasn't naive, and I don't have a problem with humbly trying to find shit out. So I used to ask him, like, yo, bro, what's the worst part you think? And I was, about being up there, and I just asked him, like, fights and all that. He's like, yo, L, I ain't gonna lie to you. He was like, I just did 8.5 years, and I got in one fight. And me, I'm thinking, how is that possible? Like, it's prison. You hear your stories. He's like, yo, bro, well, as long as you minding your business and you ain't getting into no debts and you ain't getting high, you good to go, bro. He like, ain't nobody like, he like dudes, and then he like, he like, L, he used to joke around, like, L, you got a little size on you. Dudes ain't really gonna be wanting to, you know what I mean? Like, get it in. Like, he like, dudes, dudes ain't really looking for no, and he's like, not for nothing. He was like, not for nothing. Muslims that are up there and they on their right time, not only do they keep each other intact, he's like, but y'all don't really have no problems when y'all up there. He was like, as long as y'all moving correctly, he's like, don't get me wrong, because there's some brothers up there that's checking each other, and as long as you moving accordingly, y'all don't really got no problems. He's like, because the reality is, the numbers is the numbers, and the numbers is the numbers. You know what I'm saying? So When I got to the end, it's like I probably had 3 fights and 1 cutting while I was up north.
So you got cut or you cut?
Nah, I cut. I ain't get cut. I show you see the pictures, right? You got a couple of my pictures out. And this beard ain't hiding nothing. We good to go, baby. Like, nah. By the grace of Allah, man, by Allah's grace and mercy, we definitely, I told you, hear what I told you at the beginning, the disclaimer? If I didn't come home the same way, neither did they, bro. I meant that shit, bro.
Now listen. Let's talk about it though. So your first fight, what was it about? Tell me how that went down.
Yo, it's so crazy because all my fights was over situations with other Muslim brothers. It was never my beef, right? So unfortunately, what I learned was the best way to be anything in life, the best person to be in a situation is the boss, right? So, Islam, they got rules. But, one thing about prison is if you open up a store, you good to go. Once you the store, everybody needs the store, right? So, I've been fortunate, like I told you. If you live 35 years on this earth and you ain't really got nothing to show for it, you probably doing bad, right? So when I went to prison, I wasn't in the bad space. So every commissary, my max out, my sheet is maxed out. So the brother put me on. He like, listen, start selling sodas. He was like, everybody in your yard do something. So he was like, so just start with sodas first. He's like, start selling sodas, bring sodas out to the yard. Start selling sodas. People be selling plates, like people be selling dinners for bricks. You might get you a plate and 2 sodas, right? So you might get you some Spanish food, or you might get you some Jamaican food or whatever. And but you can never have enough sodas. So he like, yo, start selling sodas and bricks. So I used to juggle pouches at first, you know what I'm saying? The tobacco pouches and shit. At first I was just like, I would have him roll up the rollies and we would sell 5 rollies for $1. Whatever everybody else was doing, I was doing better. Right, so people was doing like 3 rollies for. First they was doing 3 rollies for a stamp or 3 rollies for 2 stamps. Now I don't need no stamps, bro. I'm good. I'm giving 5 rollies for $1. So now that's beating the competition already. So it got to the point to where we could have to bring. There's too much tobacco to bring out. Like people had to start rolling them outside. So I'm like, nah, we gonna do Newport. So they already rolled up. We ain't got to do all that. So then it was like I said, I'm giving out 2 Newports. Well, I think I was giving out 2 Newports for $1.50. So that and the sodas was killing them. So now we up. So now like we had 3 different cells on a tier that the lockers was full with the sodas because we was the store. So by the time I did my year in the main, like I left the main with no lie. I probably had like 15 property bags. And anybody that know, you can only really bring 4 bags. Like they really be on it. But because I was going next door and while I was at the main, I had got a job with the plumbing department, I was in the loop. So the civilians messed with me and the COs was kind of like, they didn't mess with me, but they respected what I was doing. Because, when you work with the civilians and you be everywhere in all the galleries or in all the, you be around the jail, they start to see you. So, they just don't fuck with you, right? They don't give you a hard time. So out of the 15 bags, they let me bring like 11.
Now, what is that though? Explain that what that is. What are the bags?
So it's like, you ever seen those potato sack bags that used to be brown back in the day? Yeah. They got this super like stretchy type fabric. Yeah. So they're white. So they give you 4 of those to put all your property in when you go on transit. So if it's your clothes, if it's your sneakers, if it's your books, if it's your light, if it's your Walkman, because back then we still had Walkmans. When I went up north, they still was using Walkmans. It wasn't no tablets yet. We still was using Walkmans. So you might be traveling with 4 sneaker box full of tapes because that was the goal up there to buy as many tapes as you could get. I remember coming across Raekwon purple tape. This 2015, bro. That's why I said it's the Matrix inside the world because they still rocking cassette tapes. Like dudes was selling Sony Walkmans for $100 to $200, bro. I bought one, a digital one. I sent the dude a pink slip for $200. Like this is like it blows my mind now because I'm thinking like, yo, you would get tapes with DIN numbers because you would have to write your numbers on them when you received them, like back in the day before I came. So because all your electronic property had to have your DIN number on it. And just so we know my DIN number, like I said, I'm Los McClinton, 15A4736. You know what I mean? And obviously the 15 is the year. The alphabet is wherever you was processed through. So downstate was A, I believe Elmira was B, and I don't know the other ones, right? So
that's what that A means.
Yeah, A is downstate and B was I think Elmira,
Okay.
And the number is the number of the inmates you are for that year. So I was the 4,736 inmate in 2015 to be processed in downstate. And that was only in, I told you I got there in November. So by November, I was the 4,736 inmate in the state.
That's
Right?
crazy. So that means from November to January was probably like another 1,000 people.
So from no, not probably yeah. And you remember how your brother told you how when you knocked on the table, they looked on
Yeah.
your shirt to see your number because they knew if you was new. So like
Yeah,
when you in
yeah.
the mess hall behind the wall, you look for numbers because you might have spent so much time in there. You look to see what people was coming. Like I remember this shit. No funny. Like one of the oldest numbers I seen was this man. You know, God bless him. I hope he's still alive and he's doing well. But his name was Mr. Robles. His number was 66A0003. He was the third man in the state in 1966. He was with me in a prison in 2019.
That's crazy. That's
You
crazy.
feel me?
That's
So
crazy.
crazy is an understatement. I was with another brother that went to the board 12 times. And you know, there's 2 years in between every board visit. So
Yeah.
just the board alone, he did 24 years. You know, they
Yeah.
gave him 25 to life, and he went to 12 boards and got denied. You know, and that's why they be talking about the laws, and people don't really understand how powerful and impactful it is for the laws to change and the work that they're really out here doing, because it used to be a time where for the nature of your crime, they could just slay you for however long they wanted to slay you.
Yeah.
Right? You go to the
Yeah.
board for the nature of your crime, they could just deny you. But
Yeah.
you know, we'll get into that. So when I go to the annex, like I said, they let me bring 11 bags. So like I said, it's like those big potato bags, big. They're like big bags. So you stuff everything you got in there, and your electronics have to have your DIN number on it. That way, that's the jail's way of seeing if you stole somebody's stuff or whatever. But the thing about draft, bro, is the wolves once again. So
Yeah.
you got inmates handling other inmates' stuff. So
Yeah.
niggas used to cut bags, steal your stuff, retie your bags, all types. So what you used to do is you wrap your important stuff up in t-shirts, like put them in the middle of the bag so where they squished in between stuff so that it'd be
Yeah.
hard for them to get to it. But
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
wolves, man, they was professionals. They find some clippers and a Walkman in anything, bro. So like I said, out of those 15 bags, they let me take 11 bags. And when you go from the main to the annex, you just go through the wall. So they open the wall up and you come up by the top of the rec yard and they drive you down and drive you to reception.
Yeah.
And by that time, 40 wasn't reception no more. 40 was the mess hall building. That's what Prior said. He was in 40. They
Yeah.
had switched 14 to the reception.
Yeah.
So I'm up there. So I got back with the plumbing department again as a job. So you know, I'm in there and I'm also doing the IPA work, and you know, that's teaching the class. I was teaching orientation for the guys that first came into the prison and all that. So, you know, I was pretty loopy. And you know, so but I had all this stuff for the store. So when I get to the reception door, another dude already had a store up there.
Mm.
He was the head porter there. He had the store. He was a cooler, older guy, this dude, but the brother by the name Detroit. He from Rochester, real good dude, man. So now I got all this stuff and I don't got nowhere to put it. Like I got my locker and stuff, and I'm like, not, you know what I mean? Like, I like bro, so I wasn't going to try to get in competition with him. So I just told him, listen, I got some stuff, just buy me out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he like, nah, don't sell your stuff. He's like, because you're not going to be here long. They're going to send you to a dorm. And once you get to the dorm, open up your store there. I'm like, all right, copy. So my first place they sent me to this building called 5-2. Yo, bro, this building got individual rooms. I was in my own room with my own door.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I'm saying, like this prison experience, like I'm telling you, I ain't gonna hold you like.
Now,
bro,
what that look like in there though? What the room look like?
So it's so crazy, bro, because like I feel like sometimes when I talk about prison, people be thinking like you make it seem like it wasn't what it was, but I just make it seem like my experience. I'm gonna tell my experience, bro, for what you hear and what you see. I think by the grace of Allah, man, like the situation was definitely designed just to help me realize who I was and where I needed to be at this point in my life, because I really didn't have a real hard bed, bro. I ain't even gonna hold you, right?
Yeah.
So when you go in the room, so all right, so the building 5-2 building is at the end of this hallway of one of the buildings. So when you go in, there's a big day room area, super big, just open area. There's refrigerators to the right, the phones are to the right. They got a smaller day room area that's closed in where the TV is at. Then they got the bathrooms and the showers to the left.
Yeah.
Now, when you walk down the hallways, either this hallway or this hallway, there's all rooms, bro. There's double man rooms and single man rooms. The doubles got the bunk beds, and the singles just got one bed. So when you walk in the room, you open the door, because you always got a big locker. You got a big locker where you keep your stuff. So there's a big locker against the wall. There's a small locker, and then it's your bed to the right, and it's the chair to the left. and up at the top of the wall, either if you can either get the rooms that got the whole windows or you got the little window up at the top of the room. So my first room, I had the little window at the top. So you walk in there, like I said, you got your bed, you got the big locker, the little locker, and the chair. Now you can move this stuff around however you want. You just can't have the bed in front of the door. Obviously, you can't have nothing obstructing the door.
Yeah.
So usually everybody, what they do is they put their lamp, because it's the clip-on lamps. You put the clip-on lamp, the light on the top of your bed. You put your fan up there, so that way you know you got your fan and your light at the top of the bed. And me, I used to just put my headphones over top of my light and just let my Walkman play all day because I had an adapter. So it was like I had a speaker box too. Because when I left the main, I had to give up. You know, you had to get rid of your TV. You can't bring your TV on unless it's a TV spot. You know
so wait, so who you get a TV to?
I gave my TV to one of the brothers. A young Muslim brother came in. He had like 40 years. Young kid, like 21 years old. He had like 40 years. You know what I'm saying? So I gave it to him because, you know, a lot of the brothers I was around, they had already been there. They've been down for a time. So they had everything they needed. So I left him my hot plate and I left him my TV, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, and so, you know, I get there. So like I said, you know, you go in the room, set your stuff up, clean up, you know, you clean the area up. Obviously, they give you supplies to clean it up, sweep them off your floor and all that. And then, you know, you got your own sheets. Like I have my own sheets. You can order all this stuff from the town. So, or your people bring it on a visit. You know, they bring you sheets. Bring whatever you want. Whatever you can have, you got it. You know what I'm saying? So once I was there, it was like, this was crazy because it was like having your own cell in a medium type of environment because all the other buildings in that jail, they had dorms. It was only like 2 buildings in that jail that still had rooms because that used to be the Merrill Cooper program. That jail was where the Merrill Cooper program was. I ain't gonna hold you. I don't know too much about the Merrill Cooper program, but what I heard, it was like a program that they had in the state to, you know, for honor inmates in a sense. And that's how they made that jail or whatever. But I really ain't looked that up because I ain't care.
So what you mean like on like they was
inmates
that
had it was like super disciplinary for the state and like they could put in for a program because see that's the thing. How you move around in the state Department of Corrections is based on your disciplinary and your time, right?
Yeah.
Like if you ain't really got no disciplinary, you can get anywhere you want to in a matter of time, right? Because it goes by a point system. So if you got your degree, if you got your you know, if you got a trade in, if you ain't got no infractions, if you don't got no tickets, if you know what I'm saying, you staying out the way, then based on the tickets you have, you know, it all goes by a point system. How long you've been somewhere without any infractions, things like that. You know what I mean? And once you've been certified and you've been valid, like you can move around anywhere you want. You can put in transfers to go closer to home. You can get a suit, different programs. You know what I mean? It depends on how you moving.
Yeah. So tell me about that fight though. Tell me about that first fight.
All right, so we in like I said, I'm in 5'2" in the building. So, you know, it was a younger Muslim brother. He had like 15 to life. That's my guy, man. My brother Umar. He from Brooklyn, you know, and he was having a rough time with the Islam because before he became Muslim, he was a homie. He was a gangbanger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he knew the Islam very well, bro. And the brother was strong in the Islam, and his adab was great, bro. Like, but you know, at certain times when he struggled, he would find himself back around homies or back, partaking in things that wasn't conducive to the community, right?
Yeah.
But he was a strong brother, strong in his faith, strong in his belief, and he stood 10 toes down with the community. So long story short story long, you know, he was going through one of the moments where he was struggling, one of the time frames where he was struggling, and he was indulging in some things, and you know he was one of them wolves. So he's basically telling people, whatever I got from you, you dead on it, and that's just it. What y'all want to do? Y'all either gonna take it on the hop, or y'all want to get it in. And a lot of people was intimidated by him. Like, I ain't gonna hold you. Like the young bull, he was on his timing. So you know, so, you know, in that building, like I said to you, 5'2", on the first floor is 5'1". They got the big kitchen because in the annex, most of the dorms got stoves where you could cook on. It's a cooking jail. You can cook there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can cook there. So on the 5 building, they didn't have a kitchen upstairs. They had a kitchen downstairs. So we had to go downstairs to cook. So one of the brothers, one of the people that had an issue with Umar, he wound up getting moved to the building. So I was down there one day cooking, and a lot of people know who's in tune with who's who, but sometimes people don't be paying attention. They be on. So one day I'm down there cooking, and I hear them talking like, oh yo, boy did bad. He trying to da 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 da. So basically trying to line it up like what they gonna do and how they gonna do and X, Y, and Z and A, B, and C. So I'm like, man. So now I'm like. Now anything that really happens because like there's different so the community is set up like there's a hierarchy of the community, right? So you have the imam who's the outside facilitator, but then you have the Amir, who's the leader of the community inside the community. You have the Amir, and then you have the Wazir, and then you have the Wazir Shurda, who's the head of security, and you have the Wazir of education. These are all heads of different things. So when there's an incident that's going to go down, usually you have a collective, and everybody gets together and they decide on what's going to happen and how it's going to happen, or whatever it may be. So the unfortunate but fortunate thing was I was a Wazir Shurda over there. I was the head of security. So when you're in that position, you're in charge. You're responsible for the community. You're responsible for making decisions that are either going to be beneficial or that's you responsible for preventing situations that's going to be detrimental. And when it's time to go, you're responsible for making sure everybody has what they need to be as efficient at what they need to do, and make sure you put people on the line that's going to be able to do what they got to do. That's just how it goes. You know what I mean? So, and people have to be in that mindset of understanding that if you love your brother for the sake of Allah, the person standing next to you, then there's nothing you won't do when it's time to do what you got to do. Everybody want to go home, but some people ain't going home, and whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala see fit, that's what we do, right? So like I said, I'm down there cooking. I hear them talking and all that. So I'm just cooking, minding my business, but I'm listening. So now I'm like, all right. So when I went over, like 6 months later, the brother Naji wound up coming over. So we all in the same building, me, him, Umar, and there was another little young brother that was in there, Kaz. So, Naji was the wazir. So anything I hear, I got to take to him. No, excuse me, Naji was the Naib, and he's right underneath the Amir. So anything I got, any issue that I hear, security, I got to take to him. He has to take to the Amir. And if it could be discussed before anything has to happen, we got to discuss it and make a decision on it. If it's a decision that has to happen right there, you just got to let it happen and go with whatever you go with, and whatever happens, right? So I tell Naji, I'm like, yo, listen, man, unfortunately, I heard this X, Y, and Z, da da da. I'm like, holla at the Amir, see what he say. I'm like, but you know how I feel about Umar, and then until default, like I really had a relationship with Umar that sometimes I even stood on the wrong side of the community for him because of how I felt for him, right? Like the young brother was in a bad situation. He had 15 in life, young, 2 young kids at home, and it was days where he struggled with that. You know what I'm saying? Like when you wake up and your reality is you never know if they really gonna let you go home or if you are gonna go home. That's a mind game for people to play with you, bro. Like that could mentally wear you down, bro. Like that's crazy, right? Like I would rather you tell me I give me 40 years flat and I know I got a date than to have a indeterminate date to where any date could be my date.
So that 15 years of life, once he gets to that 15 years, they could just keep
every
banging.
2 years after that, you go to the board, and they can keep hitting you and keep hitting you and keep hitting you and keep hitting you. Like I told you about the gentleman with the 66A number, they gave him 25 to life, and 50-something years later, he was still in prison.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I mean, what he did, unfortunately, I wouldn't say that he didn't deserve that from him sharing his crime with me. But at the end of the day, it's like when you in a situation where, from us where we come from, we live the street life. And unfortunately, the street life, and that's why I got into what I'm doing now, is that as a lot of older brothers didn't really tell us what the harsh realities was of this shit, right? They don't tell you that you can spend your natural life in prison behind some shit that really don't have no value. Right? Because none of us own none of them streets that we was really banging and killing niggas on or dying for, right? We didn't own none of it. Especially now, we just learning about, the type of wealth that could put us in position and generational wealth that's beneficial to us. But back then, when I came up, the 80s, 90s, you from Poughkeepsie, you know what it was like back then, and you're a little younger than me, but you know what it was like back then. Nobody was schooling us onto what it was to be beneficial. So we thinking that if we in Main Street or if we in the bricks, we ready to put our life down for this shit. This shit has no value to us. We can get evicted the next day. So, when you see young brothers, a lot of young brothers in these penal systems, you see them that gave their life to this shit and not understand that there's no value in it. They wake up on days where they don't even know what's really going on in their own head. So, like I said, the brother was struggling. He would have his days where he was up, and he would have his days where he was great, and he would have his days where it got to him. You know what I mean? Especially when you talk to your kids and you can't give them no definite. And I went through it because I watched my kids grow and be subjected to things that you want to be there to save them to or protect them from, and you can't do nothing but get on that phone for most maybe 2-hour clicks, depending on if you're in a medium or whatever, just burn a bunch of clicks up. And after that, you got to go to sleep holding on whatever you got going on, bro. Ain't nobody making it right. Ain't no fairy tale, no fairy godfather, nobody coming to take that shit. That shit is what you go to sleep with. So, so like I said, I take it to Najee. Najee, like, oh, I'm going to holler at the brothers tonight at class. Just so happened, you could cook in that building openly whenever you want. You can go downstairs and cook whatever. So I'm chilling and Umar cutting me like, yo, I'm about to go downstairs and cook. He like, you want something? I'm like, I'll cook earlier, but I'm gonna come down with you. So, in these buildings, I ain't gonna lie to you, she used to be so comfortable, bro. Like, I ain't understand this because like this house show you how the difference between the main and the annex was. Dudes is wearing their slippers around and shit. Like in the main, you stay booted up. Like when you see dudes wearing their slippers around, like that's how comfortable it was. You see that how the reality was there wasn't really nothing happening over there. To that extent, right? So dudes would be sneakers loose or slippers. So go downstairs. So I put my boots on. And you know what I mean? I ain't have no staples. I had Timbs, I had ACGs. Like, like I said, when you loop you in the mix, like you told your brother, you get whatever you want. Everything. Yo, kick those off, let me get those. You know what I'm saying? You know how that go. So I had some ACGs on, so I go down there, he like, yo, why you putting your boots on? Like, I'm like, nah, man, I just don't like it. It be too oily down there on the floor and I ain't whatever. So, he take his net back down there and he down there cooking. So long story short, one of the dudes, these dudes I was talking about moving on him was homie, whatever. So one of the dudes go down there. And, unfortunately, whenever you move, whether you in a max or a medium or that's was classified as a max B back then. The annex was a max B. It was like 3 max Bs in the state. Coxsackie, the annex is something else. So, unfortunately, when you move, bro, you always got to be moved on time and to be ready for whatever the inevitable could be, right? So, I move like I moved when I was in the town. Unfortunately, that's why I got the 9 years. It's better to have it on you than not have it on you because you got to be able to tell your story, right? There's too many comrades that ain't here to tell their story, right? So, we down in the kitchen and he down there cooking and one of the dudes come in first and he's standing on because the kitchen's huge. So he's standing on the side of the kitchen. He just watching. So, Ooh on point though. Ooh's a funny dude. Like I said, his hands is impeccable. So he like, yo, so he started laughing. He telling me the story because he think I don't know. He's like, yo, I deaded them on some X, Y, and Z, right? I'm like, yo, ooh, why would you do that? I'm like, we good. Like, if you needed some bread or if you needed something. He's like, I know that. He's like, but I ain't gonna always come to you for you to have to do that. He was like, I felt like taking it, so I wanted to take it, so I took it. I'm like, ooh, like, come on, bro. Like, that's unnecessary. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, because this could lead to something bigger than you. And I used to always have to remind him, like, it's bigger than you because you Muslim. Like, regardless of what, your blood, property, and honor is sacred. Can't nobody just shed that without no recourse. And you got to understand that when you make decisions like that, it affects all of us because that's who we are as Muslims. That's why, like I said, like when he used to get on his time and he understood it, but he just didn't care. He was like, he gonna stand alone or he's stand with 1,000. It didn't matter. It was like that's what he wanted to do. So long story short story long. So he telling me the story while he laughing, cooking. I'm like, yo, ooh, man, like, come on, bro, like. You know what I mean? So I'm talking to him like I usually do. So now another dude come in the kitchen. So another dude come in the kitchen, one other dude. So he come like walking over like he gonna come talk to Ooh, and I just stall him. Boom. Hit him. He starts slipping, fall. His man run over. Ooh, throw the grease from the pan on his man. Start hitting his man with the pan. I'm on something on the floor drilling him. Boom, boom, boom. And like I said, the kitchen's so big, the COs be down like the hall at the end of the bubble. So we get it mixed here like, you know what I mean? Like boys like trying to like that's trying to like call stuff like trying to hold on to my shirt, like trying to rip my shirt. So now the only thing in jail that can get you jammed up is evidence. Long as you know what I'm saying, long as they can't see nothing, they can't prove nothing. So I wound up letting come up out my state green, so I'm drilling them now. You on the floor drilling, boom, boom, ooh, still smashing boy with the pen. So there's a couple other homies down there, but like I said, I don't think nobody realizes what's going on because, like I said, the space is so loud. The TV room's over here, so when the door to the TV room is closed, you can't hear what's going on in the kitchen because the kitchen has a door too. So long story short, I come about my state green shirt, throw it in the garbage. Ooh leaves the pan down there. We go upstairs. So his hand was messed up. You know what I'm saying? So they pulled a pin. So I guess when the officers finally go in the kitchen, or whoever went in the kitchen, they pulled a pin. So now when they pull the pin, they respond to the whole building, not just the downstairs, the upstairs and the downstairs, because they know we share the kitchen.
Yeah.
So when they pull the pin, everybody got to stand in front of their door with their shirt off and their hands out.
Yeah.
Right? That's how they do their inspections. They look for any wounds on your body, on your upper body, and look at your hands to see if you was involved in anything. So they come around. They got everybody in front of their door. Like I said, it's the hallways is like an L. So it's the double rooms going this way, and it's the single rooms going this way. So they come down my hallway. Ooh was in the double room at this time. So they come down my hallway. They see everybody good, whatever. Like I said, my shirt was downstairs, whatever. The other thing they do when you go up north, I don't know if anybody will tell you this, but they give you a sticker with your name and your DIN number on it. Everybody always either take it off or cross out their DIN number so you can identify them. One, people don't be wanting people to know how much time they got, and then two, you don't want the police to know who you are. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how they identify you. So my state green shirts, they never have no tags on it because I worked at the plumbing department. I used to get away with that shit by taking them off, talking about like do my job, they got messed up or whatever. So, so I'm up there, they check our hands and shit. Ooh, hand, I told you his hand was messed up, so his hand was swollen. So all you hear them cuffing somebody on the other hallway because I'm down on my hallway, so I can't hear. So once they leave, it was like, yo, they got ooh. So that was my first fight, bro.
Yeah. But he ended up going. So they caught him for.
He went to the because nobody never told you still because his hand was swollen, he couldn't explain it. It's what they call keep lock. He went to keep lock for 21 days.
Yeah.
Keep lock is a spot up in the annex. It was a spot on the street called 11-1 and 11-2. It's where they actually had cells at, and you had to walk through that hallway to get to the dorm. So it was like 8 cells on each side, and they would put you in there for like depending on what you did, they would put you in that joint.
Yeah. All right. So now tell me about the other situation where you had to cut somebody.
I see. Now that was years later, but it was over another Muslim brother. So this is by the time I finally made it to Wash.
Okay.
So I made it to Wash at like the end of 2017.
Yeah.
I got my preference transfer because I was doing what I had to do because you get a preference transfer. So to me, being out here in Albany and everybody's here, my preference transfer is Wash. Wash is by Lake George. It's 45 minutes away from the people. Because you got to remember, Dan Moore was 3 hours away. So I had a bunch of visits. People was coming, but I'm like, damn, I need to get closer to them. So I go to Wash. So I'm in Wash. Wash is half the population, or a little bit less than the annex was. Wash is like 840 people, some shit like that.
Yeah.
But see, they got free movement. Like, when he tell you about, you got to remember, even though I was in the annex, it still was in a closed-in building, so all movement was controlled movement, they call it, right? You got to wait for them to call you. When they call you, you got to walk in the line, and a CO has to escort you and watch. This shit is free movement. Once they call program, you just leave to go where you're going. Everybody on the walkway, you going and coming as you please, right? So, I went to work, or there was a brother named Malik there. He had 20-some years, and he's one of Pistol Pete's codees, them brothers from the Bronx down there. That first sex, money, murder shit, that SMM shit.
Yeah.
So, and he had bad health issues. He was like in his late 50s, almost early 60s, I think. He had bad health issues. He had real bad asthma. He walked with a limp, but he was the type of brother where he didn't want no handouts. Like, he would do whatever. Like, he would fill your ice buckets. He would, like, whatever job he could do, odd job, he would wash your dishes. Like, whatever odd job he could do to earn his keep, he earned his keep. And me, it was like, if I was in the house with Muslims, I fed everybody. Like, I don't care what y'all got. If y'all got it, y'all put it in. If you don't got it, we gonna eat every night. Because I never went to the mess hall. Like, I'm not a mess hall type of dude. I've been fortunate to wind up in spots where every spot either had a stove or a microwave. And my people's, like I said, my people's love me, man. So we getting packages. We getting 35 pounds of packages in your name just in all food. Whatever we getting. And so we cooking every day, you know what I'm saying? Between that and commissary, we cooking every day. So, like I said, depending on how many brothers is in the house, I don't care about that. If you got stuff, great, put it. If you don't worry about it. We all eating every day. Everybody just bring your bowl. We cooking it. If you know how to cook, then you cook. If you don't, stay away from the food because you can't do bad. You know what I mean? So, I had went to work one day, and when I was doing back then was I was teaching ART, which is anger management class, and I was also driving the bus.
Yeah.
So, I come back from ART, and it was like, yo, L. So it was and like I said, a lot of times in these houses, in these dorms, it used to be like almost 60 dudes because the back walls used to have all bunk beds before the states took all the bunk beds out, and then every cube would have 1-man cubes. So you might have 41-man cubes, and then the whole back wall with like 20 other dudes. So you're talking about 60 dudes in it. Sometimes domes got 60 dudes in it.
Wait, but before you continue, hold up. You said the state took out the bunk beds?
Yeah, the state double bunk is outlawed now. It's not supposed to be no more double bunk. I don't
So
know
what
if
it
it's
look
only
like
for
now
if you
and
go
then?
to the box, but in the dorms and shit like that, and in cells, it's not supposed to be any more double bunks. That was back in that had came in before I came into the state, but they finally started taking them out in like 2018 for sure.
So what it look like though? Well, you
All right,
wasn't.
so
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
how? So say, let me give you the best example I can give you. Right, say you walked into an office. You know how you
yeah,
walk into an office and there's mad cubicles.
yeah,
Like, so say you walked into Time Warner, and you know how you got all these operators with cubicles. Everybody got their own cube.
yeah.
And on the back wall, the cubes would be, instead of one bed, it would be bunk beds. So the whole back wall. So if you face it, so this, all right, just what you check it. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. Say you put a big desk calendar in front of you. You got a desk calendar.
Yeah.
All right, so you looking at the desk calendar. They got week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. On the back of the wall where week 4 is, it will be bunk beds, bunk bed, bunk bed, bunk bed, bunk bed. Then there will be an aisle that walks in between the middle of them, and then it's the aisle. So you walk in, to your right is the officer's desk. It's usually higher so it can see over top of everything else.
Yeah.
You walk down the middle, and you either go left or right, and you can come back around the sides and come back to the officer's desk and go into the hallway. But in between all that, just cubes. So you might have 6 on this side of the front wall, 6 on this side. Everybody like to get the corner cubes. So you have 6 on this side, 6 on this side. Then you'll have like 18 in the middle.
Yeah.
And then on the back, you'll have another 20. Some shit like that. I don't know if that's the numbers are accurate, but something like that, right?
Yeah.
With the aisles included. So all the cubes on the back have bunk beds. So they used to be double bunk. So you had a bunkie no matter what.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, when I was still in there around like 2017, 2018, they really started taking them down because the state was coming through, inspecting a lot, and they weren't supposed to have them up no more. But a lot of jails still had them up. That's how they could keep more inmates and stay at capacity. Because, that's how they get their numbers, staying at capacity.
Yeah.
And plus, they was closing for a lot of prisons down there, so it was like, they had to find places to put these people.
Yeah.
So, long story short, story long, I was coming back from work. I don't know if I was driving a bus or if I was teaching a class. And they was like, yo, and like I said, in these dorms, a lot of times, a lot of different people coexisted. Like, you might have Spanish group, you might have, the blood group, you might have the Muslim group, you just might have people who wasn't a part of them, but everybody, coexisted in these dorms or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and for the most part, y'all would be cool. Like, dudes would play cards together, bet on football together, like dominoes interact. But, every now and then there's always going to be some type of fuckery. It's designed to happen. That's why they keep you like that. So I'm coming back and they like, yo, somebody came up to me like, yo, I don't mean to tell you this, but they jumped on Malik. I'm like, jumped on Malik. Now, mind you, 3 other Muslim brothers in this dorm that I'm in at the time. I'm like, what you mean jumped on Malik? They're like, yo, these 2 young boys jumped on Malik. So I'm like, and at this time in Wash, I was also head of security over there too for the brothers. So, and plus just down there, like with me, bro, I just feel like this, like I never could respect cowards, right? Like jumping people and, just not standing on what you're supposed to be on. Like, I just come from an area where we don't respect coward shit. Like if you're gonna do something to somebody, you just do it to them. You don't, you don't have to have your man with you. You don't have to just be like sneak thief and all that other foul shit like that. Like, I'm just not with no sucker shit. That's just how I go. I come from integrity. Keep your hands off people that you don't supposed to put your hands on. You don't fuck with the elderly. You don't fuck with babies. And, you stand on what you stand on, right?
Yeah.
That's where we come from. Long story short, story long. So I go to Malik and I'm like, yo, so he laying down in his cube. And when I usually come back, he never laying down in his cube because he always coming to my cube, either trying to get something he been waiting for me to have or, he just be happy to see me. So I go to his cube and he laying down and he breathing real hard. Like I told you, he got bad asthma. He used to have like 2 asthma pumps on that. So I'm like, yo, what's up with you? And he's like, nah, what's up? And he's trying to play it over. But I'm like, Malik, what's up? Like, what's going on? And he like, oh, no, it ain't nothing. I'm like, it ain't nothing. I'm like, all right. So I spit from his cube. So I go to another brother's cube that was in another Muslim brother. I'm like, yo, what's up? I'm like, yo, well, I'm hearing something happen to Malik and I see all y'all still here. And he like, what you mean? I said what I said. Why did I hear something happen to Malik? and I see all y'all still here. Ain't nobody gone.
Yeah.
So how could something happen to Malik and ain't nobody gone? And he like, yo, I don't know. He like, but yo, I'm like, nah. So now I go to this other Muslim bro that was in there, and I'm like, yo, bro, pull up. So we go in the bathroom. I'm like, yo, listen, not for nothing. What happened with Malik? So he's like, yo, I just came here. I was coming in from New York, and I got a piece of the story. I'm like, okay, you got a piece of the story, but what happened? Like, did something happen? Because how could something have possibly happened to Malik and everybody's still here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to hear nothing. If you heard about it, if something happened and everybody's still here, then that's not possibly the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right? Like, somebody come in the house, PR come in the house, they tell you somebody did something to Corey, everybody's still in the house, right? We all going outside to take, like, whatever it is, what it is, like, win, lose, or draw, right? So I'm like, yo, so I go back to Malik, and he like, yo, yeah, nah, not for nothing. I had took some sodas. I used to keep buckets. Like I told you, we always had a store. Any spot I went to, so I used to keep sodas, buckets. I had like these 5-gallon buckets. I used to keep on ice because we had ice machines. I used to keep sodas under my bed. He was like, yo, I seen one of the young boys going in your cube, taking the soda from under the bed. So I pressed him about it. When I pressed him about it, he told me I'm a fucking rat. I told him he's stealing from a Muslim. I went and get the other brother. He said, when I went and got the other brother, he wanted to put it back. I went to the bathroom. Another little homie came with him, and they punched me in my face in the bathroom. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh man. So now I'm livid, and it's so crazy because when you walk in, you could tell you could test the temperature. Like everybody knows, you could tell when anybody tell you differently, they must really not. But any spot, especially in mediums, you could tell when the temperament or when something's gonna go down because everybody's in certain places to where they wouldn't usually be. So you might have a group, say you got some homies, you might have a group of them over in the corner powwowing or talking like they say, just like you could tell like they trying to figure out the momentum of the mood of what's gonna go down. Or if you got, everybody like it just be different. Like you could feel the tension. Like they say you could cut it with a knife, like the tension be thick, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, nah. So, I go to my cube. I already had my boots on because I was from work. So I go to my cube, I put my t-shirt on, I grab my grip, I throw it in my mouth, I go down there and I'm like, yo, so there's a dude in there, just say for shits and giggles, his name was Jeff, right? Yeah. So he the brother that, he the brother that I respect out of them that's in the dorm with us. And, he the one that me and him usually be kicking it. And, whenever it's the issue, he's one of the ones for the compound that if we ever got to discuss anything, we'll go to the yard, we'll walk the yard and discuss how we're going to handle any issues between homies and Muslims. Yeah. So, but by this time, I don't want to talk. Like, my blood is boiling. So I go over there, I'm like, yo, Jeff, let me holler at you. He like, yo, L, not for nothing. I already know what you want to say. I took care of it. I'm like, nah, let me holler at you. Fuck that taking care of shit. So I say this in front of a couple dudes. He's probably over there with like 5 dudes. There's like maybe 5 of them in our house. I'm like, nah, fuck that taking care of shit. I'm gonna holler at you. So now, a dude's my cheesemo. He ain't gonna like back down to be. He like, nah, L, I told you it's good. You don't need to holler at me. I'm like, yo, not for nothing, bro. With all due respect, maybe I'm bugging. I'm like, yo, let me just holler at you out here because what we need to talk about ain't for everybody's ear. You know what I'm saying? Because I had to grab myself because now strategically, when I want to bust the move, I want to be able to bust the move to where I'm satisfied. Like, I don't want it to be where the police can pull the pin and, it ain't really like, it don't happen the way I want it to happen, right? So he like, all right. So we go out there and we talking. So I'm like, yo, bro. He like, yo, L, before you even say anything, yo, bro, nobody okayed that. I already disciplined the little young boys. They was out of line for what they was doing with Malik. I don't know if they was trying to steal out your cube or not, but just the fact that they put their hands on Malik, because he had love for Malik too, because he actually was a young boy from Malik's hood. Like, he was younger than Malik, so he knew Malik's history. Like, they came from the same hood, but Malik just wasn't banging no more. Like, Malik was the original SWMs, but he was Muslim now. He been left that shit alone. He had 20-something years in the state. He been left that shit alone, right? So, boy knew Malik. So, personally, like, his people grew up with him. So, he like, yo, I told him they was out of line for putting hands on Malik, da-da-da-da-da-da, so he took care of. I'm like, yo, I ain't gonna lie for nothing, not for nothing, bro. They still here. He like, what you mean? I'm like, they still here. So how could you have taken care of that if they put their hands on a Muslim and they still here? I say, where I stand when it comes to putting your hand on a Muslim. Yeah. there's no questions about what has to be done. It's about when are we doing it and what it looks like. So if it's an agreed situation to where if you got an infraction against one of mine and we got to go to war because he in jail, like the politics is real. So like if this decision is made, like so say somebody could complete somebody offends you or an offense is done against you and you are with these people and
Yeah.
a decision, what happens is usually respectfully a conversation is had, and when that conversation is had, the decision is made: is we going to war? Is you going to discipline your people? Am I going to discipline my people? How are we going to do this? And if the decision ultimately is made we going to war, the next day we come out, everybody knows what it is and it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah.
the etiquette of prison on some real, like that's how it should be. Like that's that behind the wall mentality, and the mediums actually get lost in translation, but that's how it really should be when shit is running accordingly, right?
Yeah.
So there ain't no surprises. There ain't no like, listen, if it's beef, it's beef. Let's do what we gotta do. So everybody knows, everybody get a chance to call their peoples, pack their stuff up, and you ready for whatever consequences come, because you
Yeah.
know it's gonna be that, right? So I'm telling him like, yo, boy, there's no way you could tell me that you took care of it because they still here. Like, I'm not with that. Like, if that was one of mine and they had an infraction on one of yours, and me knowing the protocol, I'm gonna make sure I deal with them before I let one of y'all deal with them.
Yeah.
So the fact that they still here don't tell me that you did nothing to them. So he like, nah. He's like, well, I don't know what else you want me to do. Say less. So I'm like, all right, cool. So now, it's wrecked. Like, all the activities closes evening time. So I'm on the phone. I get on the phone. I call my peoples. I'm like, yo, listen, man, I don't know what's going to happen. It's crazy because this is like the day after my birthday or something like that. I'm like, yo, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to see y'all and I'm going to talk to y'all soon. I'm like, your worst case scenario, if I don't call y'all tomorrow, just know y'all hear from me soon. So, of course, family always want to panic. What's going on? Everything
Yeah.
good, you heard. Don't worry about all that. Everything's sturdy. You know what I'm saying? Just know if you, because, they used to be calling every day and a couple
Yeah.
times a day. Because, you get to certain spots where you get comfortable with the phones, man. Them phones, you might spend roughly 8 to 10 hours on them shit throughout the day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you just jonesing with everybody. Like, so
Yeah.
I'm like, and then they get used to calling at specific times because, you get certain time slots depending on what your programs look like or depending on who you are in the spot. And so I'm like, yo, all right, so boom. I come out the phone. One of the young boys was actually walking by to the bathroom because the phones is when you walk in the door, the phones is against the back wall. So you can see all the movement outside of the main areas that's going on. You can't see in the dorm area, but you can see in the main area. So the TV rooms across from the phones and the main area where the microwaves and the stoves and the bathrooms are that you can't see inside the bathroom, but you can see people going to the bathroom or going to the laundry room. So I see one of the young boys going to the laundry room. I mean, going to the bathroom because, mind you, when it's tension, like when niggas know it's on, like they'll stay in the dorm forever. Especially if they ain't got no backing or if they don't really want no smoke, they'll stay in the dorm because they know they safe where the police is at. Because
Yeah.
God forbid, if anything, police got time to pull the pin, they not going. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
see one of them walking into the bathroom. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm like, damn, I'm just gonna catch him, but I wanted to get both of them. So I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck it. So I'm like, I'll hang up on the phone, like, yo, I love you. I'll talk to y'all later. Boom, bang the phone down. I come out the phone booth. I'm going in the bathroom behind him. His man comes out the store. So when his man comes out the store, I grab something that's in front of me. I pull him to me and I bust him. Boom! Push him into his man. He goes into his man, grabs his face. I push them both into the store. When I go to hit his man, the handle on the joint breaks. So the handle on the joint breaks when I went to his man. So he leaking on his man in the store. So I just keep punching him, punching him, punching him,
Yeah.
punching him. By this time, the Rovers coming in to get the count. This is my luck, right? The Rovers come by and they get the paperwork. The Rover sees the commotion in the bathroom, pulls the pin. Boo! Now they pull the pin. So when they pull the pin, the whole jail is responding. Whoever's free is responding.
Yeah.
And where my dorm was at, we was right across from the cafe, the mess hall, right from the mess
Yeah.
hall, all that other shit. So and plus I used to drive the bus, so I know how quick they coming. So when the
Yeah.
joint breaks, so when the joint breaks, it's on the floor now. So now when he rushes in the bathroom, I come out the store, they in the store, and I'm like, yo, I'm trying to back out the bathroom. He like, yo, everybody in the wall, nobody go nowhere. And he pulls out his spray. But he don't spray us, but he like everybody on the wall. So now the joint is on the floor.
Yeah.
The that broke is on the part that broke is on the floor. So I'm like, damn. So I'm standing there, but good thing, like I said, nothing's like I ain't got no cuts on my hand, but boy's cut, he's bleeding, he holding his face, his man in the store. So now there's other people in the bathroom too, but this is how this shit looks. So now all the officers running, throw us all on the wall, cuff us and shit. So they take us down to the sergeant spot. So I ain't gonna lie, the young boys, I salute them. They kept it sturdy. They never said nothing. But my dumb ass, I had another grip in my pocket inside my long johns. So when they strip us, they find the other grip. So, and because like I said, I had been there for a while and I was good with everybody, the motherfucking superintendent, the sergeant, because I was on the IPA. That's the inmate liaison committee and all that. So I was real loopy at the jail. So they find the grip, so they charged me with the weapon possession. But they never charged me with the cutting, so they put me in the box and shit. So the fucking because the depth security comes to see me at my cell. He like, yo, listen, man, you know I really got a liking for you. I done been in the bus with you 1,000 times. You don't seem like the type of guy that we have to worry about, but I gotta get you out of my jail because they caught you with the weapon. So they gave me 9 months in the box. You heard?
All right, we got to talk about that though.
Yeah,
9 months in the box.
Yo, bro, they gave me 9 months in upstate, you heard? But the good thing about it was, like I said, it could have been the cutting in the weapon, right? I could have caught a whole new one for that. But because the depth security fucked with me, he was just like, yo, I'm just gonna get you out of the jail and I'm not gonna give you a new one. You heard? I got my paperwork and all that. Like, that was another blessing, you know what I'm saying? Because that could have been a whole new charge. Because, you know, in Washington County at that time, they was charging niggas for weapons out there. You know what I'm saying? And they was charging for assault. But like I said, I ain't got no problem. You know, them young boys, I can't speak nothing about them but sturdiness, because they could have told, like Shorty could have told, but he held it down. You know what I'm saying? Like, he held it down and he didn't tell. So, you know, wherever he at, you know, unfortunately things happen. Casualties is war, but shout out to Shorty. He did the right thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so they kept me, you know, and Wash, they got a little box area down there. They got their own box on the compound. So you stay there until they move you. So I stayed there for like 6 days after I got my sentence. Yeah. And then they, in the middle of the night, they take you all the way up to upstate box. That shit is like right across the street from Bear Hill type shit.
Yeah. Now what the box look like?
Oh man. So like this is a whole building of they call it a supermax. It's the state's version of the supermax. Yeah. So when you go there, they got like 3 wings. They got A, B, and C. So when you first walk in, you remember how Oz was? They had that big control pod shit? They got this big control pod shit. And it controls every wing, right? So they got, like I said, every building, I was in 9 building. I was in 9A. And every building got like an A wing, a B wing, and a C wing. And it's 50 people to the 25 on the top and 25 on the bottom, or some shit like that. Either way, it's like 50. Either 50 altogether on the top or 50 altogether on the bottom, or split up. I can't remember exactly how many. So when you walk in, depending on if you're going to the top floor or the second floor, they walk you in. And when you first walk in, it's obviously you cuffed and all that. So they send you in your cell cuffed. And then, except for they take your leg shackles off, but they send you in there with your hand shackles. And then once they secure the door, they tell you put your hands out through the food tray, and they take the cuffs off. Yeah. So, you know, then you uncuff. So then when you look in there, so if you're staring at the room, this is the door. Yeah. There's a set of bunk beds right in front of me. Yeah. To the left, there's a sink, toilet combination with a mirror. To the left of that, there's a long table with 2 stools. And then there's a shower kitty corner, an all metal shower kitty corner. And then to the left of that, there's a door that leads out to your rec pit. And your rec pit is like a cage. Ain't nothing in there but concrete walls and gates. And that's where you get to go out and either just do push-ups, do some pull-ups, or, you know, motherfuckers be out there fishing. Yo, this shit looks so crazy, bro.
And you could go out there anytime?
Nah, so they open it up. So this is what they do. They open it up. So depending on what level you on, when you on level 1, I think you only get, I want to say an hour a day. They'll pop your gate and they'll tell you, it's usually in the morning, they'll pop your gate for an hour. They'll make the announcements, level 1 on the rec, and you'll hear your door pop. So the back door unlocked and you open it, you can go out there. But when you on like level 2 and 3, they be out there for like 2-3 hours type shit. And sometimes they just leave the door open. But what dudes be doing, when it's time to lock in, dudes won't lock the door. So COs that have to literally come down, and depending on like, cause I know dudes that did like 3, 4, 10 years in the box. So them dudes don't be giving a fuck. So they'll fuck with the COs and leave their door open until they have to come down there and close the shit. But you know, usually, like I said, when you make certain levels, they usually get 2, 3 hours of rec, so the door be open. So you can just leave the door open, go in and out, and you know, dudes be out there talking to each other, fishing, you know, having lines and shit going everywhere, bro. Dudes be, you know, because you got dudes that be having magazines. You know,
Now explain fishing for people that don't know what that. What is that?
All right, so you take like your sheets and you like rip up your sheets, or you rip up whatever blankets you have, and you take the threads and you take the pieces of the threads, you tie them up, and you put whatever something heavy on it, and you put on the shit.
Yeah.
And you put it through the little hole in your gate and you throw it. And somebody else will throw their line and catch you and pull you in. So, for instance, say I had some magazines you wanted, right? So first you need a hook. A hook is usually like a long piece of, they'll take something, you know, back in the day how we used to make paper mache, you roll it up real, you get it wet, and then after it dries up, it gets hard. Say you made it no freaky. So say you made a long paper mache wand like this long, and then you make it like an arrow, right? So it'd be like so basically it would look like this, like a pin, but it would be paper mache, but it'd be real, very long. You know what I'm saying? And it could fit through the holes in your gate. So you would throw it to tie with a line attached to it to cross over somebody else's line, and you will pull it back in. So like if dudes had, you know, magazines you wanted, or some dudes had, because like some dudes you get commissary after you've been in the box for a while. So say I just pulled up and you was there for months. You're like, oh, that's my boy. What's up, boy? So I got some snacks for you or whatever. I'm gonna send it out to you. You might put it in the sock, squish it through your gate, or slide it under, because it'd be like this much room underneath the bottom of the gate. So you might slide it under and be like, yo, I'm sending it out to you. Fish your line, you heard? And then I have to, you know, fish my line and connect to your line, or somebody else that's downstairs from me or next to me, they might be real good at it. Like, you don't worry about it, boy. I'm gonna get it for you because I'm already connected. Because this shit looks like a motherfucking telephone wire of mazes of all lines connected, bro. It's like a yard, and all you see is motherfucking lines all over this shit, bro.
That's great. Now, how big was that box though?
So what I just explained to you is what's in it. When you walk in, you got your set of bunk beds.
Yeah.
Immediate to the right, you got the toilet and sink combination with the mirror.
Yeah.
Right from that is a little table with 2 stools. You got your stand-up shower. Then you got your back door to go to the rec pit. So probably like, you know, unfortunately, I never really been in the college dorm room, but from what I heard, maybe like either the size of that or a little bit smaller.
So like
So basically, for 2 people to be able to habitate in it. So like, So the bunk beds and the table got a stool on each end. So if it's 2 of us in there, I got a seat, you got a seat. Then they got 2 spaces. I would be able to put my stuff in a space. You'd be able to put your stuff in the space.
And you got a little space in the middle between the 2 sides.
Yeah, that's where you put your clothes and stuff in if you wanted to. Or
so
whatever
y'all don't really got enough. Y'all don't got enough space to really do nothing.
So when it's time to use the bathroom, you got to put the curtain up. So you put, somebody takes their sheet, because so they're there on TV. So they got they got the jacks on the wall. They got 3 prongs. You got the news station, you got NBC, you got the sports station. Everybody got headphones. So what you do is when you want to put the curtain up, you know, you put a little hole in your sheet on one side, plug it into the wall jack, and then you run it to the other side.
Yeah.
You run it to the other side, either like to the rec door or to the shower, and you tie it up there. So that's the only way you have privacy when you're using the bathroom, when you got a bunkie. And 9 times out of 10, unless you assaulted your bunkie, you usually got a bunkie when you're in the box, you heard?
So you had somebody in there with you?
I had a bunkie for my first 3 months.
3 months you was in there. So I mean, so didn't with no TV. Oh no, you just
listening to the wall. But by this time, when I went to the box, and right before I got out was when they started putting out tablets. This was like in 2019, in the beginning of 2019. Because when I first went to the box, they just had so you just listening to the wall. And right before I left, like maybe like August? No, was it? Yeah, like August, July, August of 2019, they started coming out with the tablets.
Yeah.
So we were still listening to the wall jack. So like I said, you had three options. You listen to the news all day, you listen to NBC, or you listen to radio. And the radio, depending on what time it was, depending on what they played. It wasn't playing hip hop all day. Pardon me. They wasn't playing country all day. You know what I'm saying? They just played a variety of music or whatever. And like, so the way you would schedule your day, because there's no clock. So for me, how I schedule my day in the morning, you know, get up and pray, work out, you know what I'm saying, do some push-ups and all that, eat your breakfast. And then, like, I schedule my day because, like, you know, everybody looks for mail. Mail is the most important part of the day. So they would come and get your laundry, and then they would bring your laundry back. But I know the Steve Harvey show came on at 2, so I would listen to the Steve Harvey show. And then after that, I knew, like, between 3 and 3:30 was the shift change, and the mail was coming. After you got the mail, the rest of your day was boring as hell, bro, because it's boring in there. Like you know, we made a chessboard on the table, so you might play chess with somebody that's all the way over another building. They just call out the moves, so you know you have your chessboard labeled, and you would just call out the moves and shit. And the person, whoever you playing, if they in another cell, they had their board labeled the same way. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's crazy.
Read a lot of books.
Now, when you was up there, can you get visits or no?
Yeah, you could get visits. You know what I'm saying? But you got to think, like I said. So you remember when I was in Dannemora? That was like 3 hours away from my people. So upstate box is like, I would say at least like 4.5, 5 maybe.
Yeah.
And I went up there in the dead of winter, and I stayed until like August.
Yeah.
Because you know, I think it's for every 30 days they take off. I don't want to miscalculate because you know people be on here like, nah, boys, freestyle. So I think it's like for every I want to say like it's either 10 days, every 30 days, they take off like 1 or 2 days or some shit like that.
Oh, okay.
So you don't, you know what I mean? You don't do the whole time because like that's how the whole jail system works. Like for however much time they sentence you, there's always going to be an amount of time that you can get taken off. That's why I said like if you get 9 years, you know, you for a violent, you do seven, you do 8. What'd I say? If you get 9 years, you do 8 months and 10 days for a violent. You do a month. Yeah, you do 8 months and 10 days out of a year for a violent, and 6 months and 10 days for a non-violent.
Yeah.
Or 10 months and 10 days for a violent, and 8 months or some shit like that.
So what was the hardest part about being in the box though? I know, except for the obvious.
The food.
Oh, because you had to eat for this time. You had to eat for 9 months, whatever they had.
Whatever they had, bro. And they'll be having shit, bro. They be having bull, yo.
What you eat? Tell me what the food look like.
What I tell you, yo, you ever heard of anything called yakisobe? Yakisobe?
Nah.
Yo, bro, hold on. You hear me? I had pulled this out, but I forgot to grab it. Don't freak. I had got a commissary list that I was going to show you just to tell you, like, show you some of the stuff that's on this crazy stuff. Yo, bro, the food is crazy, bro. Like, the worst part about being up north, that's why I said I'm thankful that every spot I went to either had a microwave or a stove because, you know, you was able to cook whatever you wanted to cook, bro. But when you was in the box, the food was the worst part. And the downtime. Like, there's a lot of downtime. So if you ain't mentally strong and you don't got stuff to keep yourself, you know, going, that's going to drive you crazy. I've seen a lot of dudes drive themselves crazy like that. Like, you know, I had an opportunity to read a lot of the Quran while I was in there. And, you know, but, you know, and I had, like, people sending me books and, you know, I got a lot of mail. Like, I ain't going to lie. Shout out to the people that was sending that mail when I was in the box. You are the real MVPs. Like, you did what you were supposed to do. Because you don't, and then you don't really get phone calls like that. So, like I said, you start off with a level 1, and on level 1 you only get 1 phone call, I think, for like 30 days or something like that. So then when your level goes up, like you get like more for phone calls, but the mail is what keeps you going, bro. You need books and you need mail, bro, because if you get mail every day, even though you start finding yourself reading letters over and over, but it's like the mails keep you going. The mail keep you going, bro. You be looking for the counselors to come interact with you, like. I did a whole ART packet, like about this, but they send you notebooks. I was doing a notebook so fast. She was like, you know, we don't got no more after you're done. I'm like, miss, just give me anything. I'm so bored in here. Like, so, you know, that was but the food was the worst part, bro. The food was absolutely terrible, bro.
Yeah, man. That's
They
that's
feed
crazy
you.
because
You wouldn't believe. People wouldn't believe as much money as Department of Corrections is making. You wouldn't believe the food they feeding these people, bro.
yeah. Because my brother, when he described it to me, he said it looked like some like wet stuff in a bag almost that they
That's
had
what
to
it is.
like.
He said it's quick chill. This is called. It's called quick chill. So
Yeah, yeah,
basically, say you know how say your grandmother cooked a pot of lima beans on the stove.
yeah,
They'll take her pot, throw it into this bag, and say they put whatever they call themselves putting turkey chunks in it because a lot of the food now don't have pork because of the Muslims. So say they call themselves but they'll put a whole big bag, like a big plastic bag, and they'll
yeah,
seal it and they'll freeze it. Freeze it for however long they freeze it. And then they got these big kettles where they fill them up with hot water and they just throw the bags in there until the bags heat up to where they expand. And that's
yeah.
what they call cooking them. And then they'll just throw them in pots and serve them like that.
Mm. So wait, so it's just like a whole bunch of stuff mixed together?
Depending on what they're making. Like I
Yeah,
said, you might get a bag that's just all lima beans, right? That's what it is. And it might just be all lima beans, but it's some stuff that was probably made 3 months ago,
yeah, yeah,
frozen,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then whatever transferred or whenever they got ready to use it, they just instead of warming it up in the pot, they just throw the whole bag in this big pot of water like a big kettle and just
yeah,
boil it until it expands and pop the bag and serve it.
yeah. That's crazy, man.
And then a lot of their food has soy in it. And not for nothing, soy has estrogen in it. So,
yeah,
they're serving this to men, you know what I mean? And like it's a lot of crazy politics in there, man. And then even the
yeah,
stuff like in commissary, you gotta remember canned items have a lot of sodium in it. So I know a
yeah,
lot of dudes that go to prison that never really had no health problems. And the number one health problem that I see up there is high blood pressure. Dudes go up there healthy and come out with high blood pressure.
yeah,
70%. I mean, the number might be over, but I would say safely about 60% of dudes go in there, and 60% probably come out with high blood pressure, bro. Because the stuff you buying over commissary, you got to remember, in order for them to keep that stuff there, a lot of it be canned goods and stuff like that, like the Jack Mac and stuff people be talking about. That shit is full
yeah,
of sodium, bro.
yeah, yeah,
You understand what I'm saying? And then you
yeah,
buying seasonings to season it up, and most of them seasonings got sodium in it.
yeah, yeah. That's crazy. But 9 months in a box is wild though.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
it was it was crazy, but like I can tell you this, Corey, it's crazy. So as I'm in there, right, like I'm like, damn, usually when you go to the box, it's very rare you hear them say they'll see you back to the same hub you came from. And that
Yeah,
hub that I was in, that's where Clinton was in, that's where Washington was in, that's where Comstock was in, and that's where Green was in.
yeah,
So while I'm up there, I'm praying, and I'm just asking Allah, man, I'm making dua and asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like, if you see feasible, put me back in that hub so I can still be close to the family. So after I got out the box, bro, he sends me to Green. I go to Green.
yeah,
Green's 20 minutes from the crib now, 20, 30
yeah,
minutes. So,
yeah.
I'm dancing as much as the dance floor is open. I'm down there, boy.
And that's crazy you
And,
said that though, because let's talk about family a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Let's talk about family.
bro, no lie, bro. Like, I had that's my son and my daughter and my son right there.
Yeah,
And like I told you, the one of the roughest transitions was watching them grow. He went from when I left, he was 8, and when I came home, he was going on 16. He's about to graduate high school in a couple of months now. I
yeah,
don't
it's
know if you ever
crazy.
see my Facebook page, but I put a page up there where I went to one of his concerts where he was singing. That was my first time seeing him perform because when I
Yeah,
left, he was a little guy. My daughter about to have a second child now. She had her first baby while I was going. She came to me and told me on the visit, like, they was riding. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
yeah,
then, I had some people in my life, man, that was riding, bro. Like, and I had a great support system, but I tell anybody, that shit makes prison feel like it's not prison, bro. When you
yeah,
got people riding with you, that's 10 toes down, that's picking up them phones and sending them, sending that love, bro. That
yeah,
shit made that bid. Like I said, bro, the best thing that could have happened to me at the worst time in my life. Why I say it was the worst time in my life, because I had to leave my family, and my
yeah,
son was so young where he don't remember certain memories with me. And now we have to go through certain things like certain counseling and certain therapy because of the things that he had to endure with me being gone. But at a
yeah,
time in my life where I needed to find out who I was, like, and what my purpose was, and see clearly what Allah's plan was for me. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
that's what I needed, because like I said, bro, I was on the fence for so long. Like I told you, From like 2005, that's Mama Love right there, man.
Yeah.
She lived in Alabama, and she used to come twice a year. You heard? No matter
Wow.
what spot I was at, like she used to come twice a year, man. Like it was
Yeah.
real, bro. Like my support was real. Like they give you a phone list, and you can have like 15 numbers maximum. Yo, bro, I used to have to change my joint, no lie, like every 4 to 5 months to put new numbers on and take people's numbers off and rotate numbers because I had so many people to reach out to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which was a blessing, boy. Like it was a lot of people that roll with me, boy. Like, and you lose some people and you gain some people, and you lose some people, you gain some people. And I don't really fault nobody. Like, you see a lot of people come on bitter and feel some type of way. And I'm like, yo, listen, one thing we forget in the selfishness of being in prison is that life goes on for everybody. So
Yeah.
your life ain't worse because you in prison as compared to what people could be going on out here. You just assume that your life is worse because you're incarcerated. But the reality is you got a lot of free shit while you're incarcerated. You don't pay for toilet paper while you're incarcerated. You don't pay for soap while you're incarcerated. You don't pay for hot water, electricity while you're incarcerated. And you getting free cable. You feel me what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People out in this world got to pay and go to work for this shit, bro. So for us to be selfish and get caught up in the fact that, oh, yo, this one didn't check for me and this one didn't do that, I get it. Trust me, I get it. But at the same time, if you a man and you know the choices you was making and you know that the people that was riding in your corner was trying to deter you from doing some of that shit anyway, why you mad?
Yeah.
Right? A lot of times we put ourselves in situations where, man, like I said, I come from an area where we was told you stand 10 toes down and you wear your consequences like you wear your accomplishments, right? Yeah. Wear your consequences like you wear your accomplishments, like a badge of honor. You ain't got to be proud of it, but you hold it down and you walk it down the same way you would do if you were celebrating, right?
Yeah.
So people forget that shit, bro. Like, you didn't owe me nothing. Like, if you loved me, you cared about me, and you were disappointed because I made a bad decision, because I was having a conversation with my brother the other day, my older brother, man, and he was like, yo, I was so mad at you when you went to prison because you knew better. Like, you always had better opportunities, and I just couldn't understand why you wouldn't stop that shit. I was telling you from when you was 15, 16, leave this street shit alone, and you could never stop it. So when you went to jail, I ain't keep in touch, and I ain't reach out as much because I was angry, and I didn't know how to tell you. I had to tell him, like, and then he was like, now I feel guilty. I'm like, you don't got to feel guilty. Feel guilty for what? I said, you should feel guilty for not expressing yourself how you felt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we supposed to be able to keep it real with each other. Like, I understand that shit disappointed you. It disappointed me too. I wanted to tell you a funny story. So, like, I told you, so I worked at the juvenile jail in Albany from 2005 to 2012.
Yeah.
And while I was still working there, like 2009, I started working at this place called LaSalle. It's a boys' home up here, right?
Yeah.
So, the juvenile jail, I used to always mess with the young boys. Like, when it was time to lock in, I slammed the door on them and all that. Like, slammed the door in their face. Like, yo, this what it sound like when you really go to prison. Boom. So, when I'm in the county jail, I'm in there with a couple of young boys that I had, came across or was in a juvenile jail with me. So one day, it was like my first weekend there. One day, it was time for us to lock in, and the COs was going around slamming on the gates. My young boy, he was on the downstairs, I was on the upstairs. He was like, because you go by last names, and when you worked there, he was like, yo, Mr. M, you remember that sound, right? Remember how you used to slam the doors on us?
Oh, crazy.
Yo, bro, I couldn't do nothing but laugh because it was true. But I gotta tell you, one of the disappointing feelings that I had though, bro, throughout this whole experience is that out of them young boys that trusted me or that looked up to me or that bought into seeing a young guy that come from where they from, being in that field or working in that area, and just giving them positive outlook, seeing that everybody wasn't what they thought. When I went to prison and seeing a lot of them in there, I just felt like I let them down. You know what I'm saying? Because I always prided myself on standing tall, but being someone that they can relate to, but also doing the right things. Like I told you, from as far back as I remember, I always did this and I always did that. It was like the fence, no freaking straddling of the fence was always my dilemma. And, I always felt like as long as I continued to educate myself, put myself in great positions, worked and was a mentor in a sense to these young people, when they didn't see what was in this hand that I was hiding, then I was good. But once that shit came to light and it all got publicized, it was like, look at this fraud. You know what I mean? Like, areas believing in you, taking your word, looking at you as whether they look at me as a role model or not, looking at you as an example of what it looked like coming out of our hood and being successful, even working in the juvenile field with us and, doing things and creating programs and being a part of programs that are beneficial to us and trying to help us deter us from living this life. But then look, boom, your shit blow up.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the biggest disappointments that I dealt with going through that process. But even in that, I learned how you could come back and bounce back from that. And that's why now, you know, I do the motivational speaking, I do life coaching. Like, you know, I've spoken at a couple of schools. I'm trying to get back and doing a lot of helping them now. And I tell my story. I use my story as a plateau because I want them to know that there's no age. Pride has no age group, right? And humility definitely doesn't. So you have to be willing to, like I said, stand in your flaws as you would in your praises and be who you are, right? Be the man that you was destined to be. Don't be too ashamed to have some humility. Don't be too ashamed to be transparent. I remember being on the visit floor one time, looking around, right? Looking to see who was watching me hug my son because I was scared to be vulnerable in front of men because in the environment where prison was, you don't know who's watching you to see how vulnerable he was. I had to say to myself, how dare I wonder who's watching me love on my son? This is my son. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of men go through things about being transparent and being vulnerable because they were never taught to be like that. So I realized that was my calling, bro. My calling is to help us understand, whether they be young, whether they be older, that we come from neighborhoods and places where we're not taught vulnerability. We're not taught transparency. We're not taught humility. So that shit misses us, bro. And you know what happens? We become hardened and we become angry and we become frustrated and lost and we don't know why. We can't pinpoint it because we don't know what we're missing. And when you don't know what you're missing, you don't know why it's like that. Somebody gives you something. I give you a dish that's cooked and I give your wife a dish that's cooked. And maybe your wife knows what certain ingredients are and you don't. And she could say to me, oh, yo, you missing this, this, and this. And you looking at her like, how would you know that? But she knows that because she knows what goes into the dish and she knows what to take, what to look for, right? Us, because this communities where we come from, these environments where we come from, we're not taught that, yo, Corey, you could be vulnerable. Yo, Corey, you could be transparent. Yo, Corey, you could hug PR in front of other people. That's your big brother. You love your big brother.
Word.
Why not?
Word.
Right?
Word.
So now we get so caught up in that. We get so caught up in looking tough and saving face. We don't even know what the face looks like no more. What are we really saving? And who are we saving it from?
Yeah. Now, when did you get to this though? When did you get to this mindset where you at now? Was it in prison? Was it right before you came home, or was it when you came home?
So it was like during my transition in prison, because like I told you, I've always had this mindset of figuring out like why we are who we are and where we're at, right? But I never had the time to really sit it down and put it together because, you always play off the Black history thing and the oppression thing and the slavery thing. That becomes our natural norm. But then you got to realize that you got to get out of that woe is me victim type of mindset. There ain't no victims but people that lay down and be victimized, right? Not to say that you can't be victimized, but at some point, if you ain't standing on your own too and figuring out how not to be victimized anymore, you just completing the cycle, right? You continue in the cycle, So I've always had that mindset to know, like, listen, I never want to be taken advantage of, and I pride myself on education. That's why I told you it was that fence straddling for me, free. Like, I always was educated and wanted to be the smartest person, the most intelligent person in the room, but I also was dumb enough to realize that drug dealing wasn't the smartest thing to do, right? Because, it was just like it was an addiction. So in my last year, I went to a program called KSAT, and I had to do that. It was a drug program. We had to do that to get work release. So that was like the most eye-opening year of my life because they taught me that not only was using drugs an addiction, but selling drugs was an addiction.
Yeah.
And when they told me that, me being so prideful and not want to be called an addict, I'm arguing these people down, bro. Like, I ain't got no addiction. I ain't no addict. I know what an addict look like. I've been serving fiends my whole life. Like, you wilding.
Yeah.
But then I sat there, right, and I stopped talking for a minute and I started listening. So then I started reflecting on shit I used to do. My daughter used to be on the traveling volleyball team. If a person called me on my phone, I would find a way for them to meet me out there. I'd be in the store with my kids at Toys R Us. If a person called me on my phone, I find a way to meet me 3 hours over in the baby doll aisle while my son's looking at bikes.
Yeah.
If it's 3 a.m, I'm in my crib with my kids, I would be serving people out my bathroom window.
Yeah.
Right? So then I started looking at who was the junkie, them or me? Right? If I'm doing all of this to serve them for this money,
crazy.
And they coming for me, like, you got to put shit in perspective of who you really are.
Yeah.
And that program helped me see things like, hold up a second, like, boy, you can't be too proud to own your shit. Like,
Yeah.
let's keep it a buck. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
What?
was I really the junkie, or was I really the junkie serving the junkie?
Yeah.
Who was
Yeah.
really getting the fix, right?
Yeah.
You know, and then we had those justification, though, you know, where we come from. I was able to provide for my kids. I got a house for my kids, and, you know, I'm leaving my kids something. And I took my son, by the time he was 8, 4 different passport stamps. Oh, that's good. But at what cost?
Yeah. Yeah.
It cost me 7 years of him having to come to that dance floor and missing him going through puberty, missing his elementary school graduation, his middle school graduation, his first girlfriend, you know, first heartbreak. His mom was going through things while I was gone and not being able to support him, and just all of that. And same thing with my daughter, you know, the birth of her first child, her going from official young woman to womanhood, and, you know, experiencing college and different things. Like, that's what that shit cost me. And as we know, time is the one thing you can't never get back. Right? Yeah. So, you know, and then you start losing family members that really are close to you, that you really, you know, my sister, you know, and then, you know, you start losing people that are really so dear and near to you. You start realizing that all this monetary shit that we are taught and we're trained to think is the level of success of where we come from, when you could buy a Benz, or you could buy a Beamer, or you could buy a Wraith, or you could own a house that you might be renting, a 2-family house, or you could get. Those are great things to have as an accomplishment, but for what price though? Right? Yeah. I heard you and your brothers talking about on your last podcast, on the Great Kids podcast, talking about generational wealth and, you know, the things that you have now, and, you know, you look at your accounts, you look at certain things, those are the things that you're proud of. But you're proud of them for how you accomplished them, not what you accomplished, right? You're proud of them for that. Legally, you can leave them and they're there. You know what I mean? Not for how you attained it. And see, we were taught to just obtain it. We wasn't taught to attain it the right way. So then when you got the $60,000 car sitting in front of the bricks, you're only paying subsidized rent. Yeah. So why not have the $60,000 car sitting in front of there? You better, right? Yeah. If you out there doing all that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If you renting an apartment on Montgomery Street, why wouldn't you have $100,000 car in front of there? You're renting. Yeah. Yeah. See, we in our community, we learn backwards. They teaching their kids every day the right way. They're teaching them about making the money work for them and making the investments work for them. We're learning how to work for the money. Yeah. Word. Consumers. So the last year of me being in that program, it's like when I really started putting together, I'm like, listen, I want to go home and I want to do something to not only reflect where I'm at, but also take ownership for who I was and what I went through, and also see what people's response to me owning mine, and, you know, being transparent, and also seeing if I still got people that's willing to understand that in life you make choices and bad decisions and great decisions, and if you are who you say you are and you got an integrity, how does that look when you stand up in the face of adversity? How does that look when you stand up owning who you are and just trying to give people the opportunity to say, listen, you can fall twice, you can fall 3 times, but only when you get up is when you really want to get up, and you start making excuses for why not to get up. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So I came back, and this is how crazy and powerful loss upon a dollar is. The whole time I was actually tell people, yo, if I get an opportunity, I'm gonna go back to my job. You know what I'm saying? I like working with the young boys. This is what I did my whole life. Not nothing for nothing. My first job was in the after school program. Like, this is what my passion is for. So people used to be like, yo, you think they're gonna take you back? You know, you got the felony now. You got arrested when you was working there, not at the job, but while I was working there. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna see. So as I'm in KSAT, one of my people that I used to work with, she became the boss of the school. So she write me, she like, yo, listen, you know, long time no see. I'm just letting you know, when you get out, if you need any help, I'm the principal of the school now. I would love to give you a job. I'm like, what? Yeah. So now I get the work release. So, you know, work release, you there for your first week, then you get to go out 3 days a week and look for jobs. So first thing I do is I go see her. Listen, you know, I would love the job. What's the process? She was like, I'm like, you know my situation. So she like, yeah, you know, don't worry about it. We're gonna vouch for you, anything, because, you know, you gotta go through the justice center and all this, because I'm a felon now. You know, fingerprints and everything gotta go through. So they sent letters in for me. Long story short, I got the job back that I left, bro. You know, and I came back on the entry level, and I worked myself back up to where I was. You know, I was the overnight supervisor before I left. Now I'm in there, and I'm right back where I left, man. It's coming full circle. You know, and it's only by Allah's grace and mercy and me staying true to who I am and understanding that it's a purpose that I have, and I embrace my purpose, and I might not have it all figured out yet, and I'm still struggling in certain areas, but I'm focused on how to get there. I see the target, and I'm continuing to move towards the target.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be distractions, but you got to stay in line with the target, right?
Yeah.
And I know that it's people that need to hear what I gotta say, and not only that, it's people that need to talk that I need to hear, because we can only save each other by listening, bro. Like, you know, your story, like I said, I just happened to be flowing through Facebook one day and I seen it, and I'm like, damn, yo, that's the young boy. And you know, I always try to support stuff from the town, because as much as I could be, like I said, I know a lot of us. So even though I might not have knew you personally, like I said, oh, that's PR, that's my guy, that's the bro, that's the bro. You know what I'm saying? Automatically. That's family. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, oh, look, he's doing something great. I remember times I might have been on there, might only been 3 of us on there. We all talking to each other. Now, every week I see, you know, more and more people watching, because we got to support each other, right? Because they don't pay to support each other. They just support each other. We got to bribe and pay each other to support each other for what? You get more turnouts at a funeral than you get at one of these. For what, though? It's the last time you want to see the person, but you can see this every day and possibly prevent a life from being taken, and they won't come to a rally, but they'll go to a funeral. And that's why I said we got this shit. We got this crazy right now. You know, we have to figure out, how do we get the seats? How do we get the people with the seats, bro? Like, why do I got to be Little Dirt to get you to come in the seats? You feel me? How do I get people to tune into this and just hear it? You ain't gotta like it. My story might not be for you. What you giving out might, but how do I get you just to check it out, to see?
Yeah. You're right.
Right? Like, how do we get our people to tune in? Like, what are we doing? So I tried to figure this out one day. I said, yo, listen, why is a young brother, a young dude, willing to listen to some music that from start to finish is talking about stuff that he can relate to, I guess? But what if you never really had the extendo? What if you just know your man had it? What if you never really let off 100 rounds? You just know. What if you just was so, because you know, a lot of us, we grew up in the bricks, but we wasn't experiencing some of the stuff that was going on. A lot of us grew up in the hood, but we wasn't exposed to what was going on. Like, let's be real, bro. A larger percent goes through life without being exposed to the trauma than the people that are really traumatized by the trauma, right? It becomes secondhand trauma. So me and you, we might have been around people that was, or, you know, him and him might have been around people who was tough, but maybe they didn't have to fight their whole life. Maybe they was able to go to school and get on the bus and mind their business. They could look from the school window like, oh, that's so-and-so getting into a fight again, but that wasn't your fight. So what I'm trying to figure out now is what's so appealing to them, because I get it. You know, I got teenagers now, I got grown, because I understand when we was younger, our parents couldn't relate to our music neither. I get it, but my thing is, what gets them in the seats now? Like, what could get a group of young brothers that want to come out and see me and you on a panel talking about this, talking about life-saving, and, you know, talking about not only life-saving, but talking about generational wealth for how to get little baby money without having to get that rapper lottery. Because it's a lottery, really, right? I don't care if you got everything's on YouTube now, you can get on, it's still a lottery. Because if 100 of them trying it, still only 6 of them is probably hitting, maybe 5, right? So how can we get them in these seats to get them to invest in us? And when I say us, invest in themselves, because we are an older version of them. Right? So how do we get them to invest in learning how to stock trade, learning how to create generational wealth, learning how to learn about Bitcoins and things like that, or learning how to set yourself up in a place to where you work for you and your money works for itself?
I think what we have to do, well, one of my things is that we got to, and I guess it's starting to happen now. Growing up, they made being a street dude cool. Being a drug dealer was cool. Being a dude who busts his gun was a real nigga. You know what I'm saying? So when you paint that as something that's good, you got the young kids coming up wanting to be that. But now you got dudes like yourself coming home who was in the streets, but now letting people know, like, yo, it ain't what you think. Up there ain't what it is. Doing this is what it is, and doing that and being legit and having a job and investing your money. That's what it is. It's not you out there trying to get fast money. And I think it's gonna take people like yourself, people like my brother, people like Supreme, other people that's not in the streets no more, to tell people like, yo, I was out there. You don't got to go out there. I did it. So I'm telling you, this is not what it is. Doing it this way. And once a lot of people like yourself come home and be that example for those kids, then I think slowly we'll see it like, okay, the cool thing now is going to school. Yeah.
So what I did was when I was away is I started an initiative with some brothers that I got in Buffalo, some brothers that I got in Rochester, and it's just about we don't even have a name. We're just still in the works of it, but it's about creating a community of supporters. And when I say for supporters is going around weekly checking in with the community, giving out T-shirts, giving out, food, for feeding the communities to where if I say to you, yo, Corey, listen, my man doing something up in Rochester this weekend. Let's get as much as our group together, get on some buses and go up there and support it. Vice versa. Yo, L, listen, my man doing something down here in Newburgh. Let's get a bunch of people as we can, put on these black T-shirts, support the community, and go out here and do it. We have to start building these networks to where, they not bringing a little Dirk out here tonight, so let's everybody get out there and carpool to go do it. I have nothing against these brothers. I love what the music is doing because, like I said, we came up in a time where I think was the best era of hip hop. You was just talking about that on your show the other day.
Yeah.
So I think we come up in a time where it was the best era of hip hop. So I'll be the first to say it. Music is a way of, of expression. Music is the way that got us through a lot of our dark days. Like, music is that. But at the same time, like, we have to sell reality to our people. Our kids deserve to know that you could be literally the next, what's the boy that invented Facebook? You could be that next
Mark
guy,
Zuckerberg.
right? You could be the next Malik Zuckerberg, Joe Queen Zuckerberg. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be that because the reality is we're learning how to do everything, right?
Yeah.
So we're learning how to do set up computer things, and we're learning how to do logistics and things like that. So it's like, don't sell yourself short to think, like you said, that the standard of coming from the hood, because nowadays there really ain't even no hoods no more. Things are so what they call that? Things are so
gentrified.
Yeah, things are so gentrified. You've been on Main Street recently. That ain't the hood, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Main Street, you got to see. You've been out in Poughkeepsie lately though.
Yeah, I heard
that's a whole other thing. Main Street
Main,
look crazy, like the Wire now.
Yeah, they said Upper Main looks like a zombie land.
Man.
But I was just in the hood maybe like 3 weeks ago. But I'm saying certain places look different, bro. Like, they don't look the same, bro. Like, certain stuff still looks the same. But look at Manchester Square Park. Yo, bro, when we was younger, that shit used to have 3 benches and just you could just ride through. You know how it used to be. Like, certain places don't look the same, bro. Like, Persian look like some good special courts now. Even though it still look like it could be like you know what I mean, some good basketball going on out there. I'm saying certain places like they've given money, like they're definitely invested into the city. I mean, there's always going to be drugs. There's always going to be that opportunity, but we have to get into the narrative of selling our people that, listen, we ain't got to be the ones to do it. We ain't have to be the ones that become their victims of their story because their narrative is already painted for us, right?
Yeah.
We have to become the artists to start drawing our paintbrushes and starting to swipe our own narrative.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Not only brothers like us, though, that are coming from it, it has to be their brother. Because, see, a young brother might listen to you twice as more right now in the moment that he'll listen to me because he might want to see what it looks like not to have to strike out. Because I tell people, once you struck out or once you have a strike, right?
Yeah.
Who's more believable? Charles Barkley with no rings or Michael Jordan with 6?
Yeah.
And see, dudes don't know. That's what we start looking like. When you start striking out, you start going up north, you don't get badges of honor for that. I hope people was listening to this. If you ain't listening to nothing else I said, stop acting like you getting badges of honor for going up north. Because the game is to win, not to lose. So whenever you going up north, you lose it. So let's cut that whole narrative out, boy. You ain't tough because you went up north and you did 10 and you did 15 and you came back home because you're not telling the real story on them lonely nights where you was really up there missing your family, wanting to be home. Them long nights where it didn't seem like it was going to end. Not to say you was getting abused or you wasn't holding it down because anywhere if you got to survive, you're going to survive if you're a survivor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They say if you put a rat in a corner, he going to eat his way through something to get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's not act like we these big bad wolves and big bad survivors because we survived it. We're survivors.
Yeah.
But now, what are we doing with those things that we learned?
Yeah. Now, before we end this interview, where can people find you at? Like, let's say some young dudes is out there. You know what I'm saying? This is what you're doing. You motivational speaking, you life coaching. Where can they find you? I can put the link in this video where they can find you online, or wherever they can
Right
find
now,
you
you can
at.
find me online on The Makings of a Man. We have a
Okay.
webpage called The Makings of a Man.
All
You
right.
can find me on there. You can find me at that's where you're gonna be able to centrally locate me right now. We're putting up another web page as we speak. But you know, you can through The Makings of a Man. You could reach out to me. I'm on Facebook, McClinton. You know, you can reach out to me through there. You can hit me directly. Like I like to leave I got access. You can hit me directly. You instant message me. You send me a message to any one of them sites. I'm gonna get back to you. You know, I'm in the process of put up the new webpage, but I'm gonna get back to you. And you know, you can catch me. Listen, man, if you going through it that much, if you're going through that much hardship, you just want to reach out, you just want a moment to talk or just to kick it, you can come to my job, man. I'm at 391 Western Ave, LaSalle School. Ask for me, man. I'm always obtainable. That's why I said like I'm obtainable, bro. Like you could get to me. I'm not nowhere where you can't get to me, bro. If you need it, if you need a moment, if you're not sure what's going on, if you just need somebody to listen to you, hit me up, bro. Like I said, the webpage will be up next week for sure. We just had some troubles with that, but The Makings of a Man webpage is up, and there's a lot of other gentlemen out there you can reach out to on that, you know. And like I said, I'm on Los McClinton on Facebook. You can just reach out to me, bro.
We're gonna put all of the links to all of your information is gonna be in the description of this video. So if you're watching this video, you're gonna click on the link, click on the description, click the links, keep in contact with him if you need some questions or whatever like that, or just motivation, some life coaching situations.
We here, man.
That's
We
what
here
he
for
here
y'all,
for,
man.
But listen, man,
Even if there's some brothers, real quick, Corey, let me just do it. If there's some brothers that want to get together and put seminars together, or you think us linking up could be beneficial to the community or to our, you know, our people, hit me up, bro. And I'll do the same. Like I said, we all about networking. We want to be great, bro. We trying to grow this thing to where we can save each other while we still here instead of having to, oh, damn, I wish boy was still, or damn, I wish I would have did that. Let's stop saying that. Let's stop speaking in the past and speak in the moment. You feel me? Let's stop speaking in the past and speak in the moment.
Yeah,
don't be good, be great, man.
I definitely appreciate you, man. The interview was great, man. You definitely gave some great information, and that's what it's about. Like that's why I even did this podcast, is to show people that been through some things, and then when they came home, this is what I'm doing now. You know what I'm saying? Because it's one thing to talk about a whole bunch of war stories and all that, but then if you don't got nowhere at the end where you could tie it up and say, okay, I ain't in that no more. I'm into this. I'm doing this. Then it's not even nothing to talk about. So like even people who's watching this video, I want to talk to a whole bunch of people, but just make sure that you don't got to be doing like what Lots is doing, motivational speaker. You could just have a regular job, but just show that you transition from the street life to something legit, and you on the right path, and you doing something different. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, man,
that's what it's about.
Shout out to you and your brothers too, man. Y'all doing a lot of great things, bro. I want to let you know how inspirational you are to me and to the community, because what you're doing, bro, it's like you not scared to be you. Right? You being Corey, like all the way. Anybody that know you, like you ain't, you know, even when you be, I see sometimes like how you and your wife be corresponding on the podcast. I'm like, yo, that's beauty in what we doing, bro. And I appreciate you, man. I thank you for the inspiration, and I thank you for having me, my brother. It's a blessing. And inshallah, man, for all the brothers and sisters out there, Ramadan is upon us. It'll be here in the next couple of days. Inshallah ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you to have a healthy Ramadan. And you know, anybody listening that can hear this, thank you for taking the time, man. Be blessed, be strong, and know that it's never too late, man. We here for the people. Corey, I appreciate you, my brother.
Yeah, I appreciate you too.